documentation. And we're recording whenever you're ready, Chair.
And we're off. It is now 3:33 p.m. Central Standard Time, and I call this meeting of the English Language Arts ELA Standards Recommendation Committee, SRC, to order. Vice Chair Hilliard, please call the roll to determine a quorum. The appropriate response is here, present, or nothing.
Miss Baird.
Present.
Miss Dockery is not present currently. Mr. Hilliard present. Miss Now.
Present.
Miss Singletary also not yet present, I don't believe. Dr. Stout.
Present.
Miss Winters not yet present. And Chair Kernagus.
Present.
Chair Kernagus, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Vice Chair Hilliard. I move that the recording provided so well by Mr. Walton serves as minutes for today. Do I have a second?
I second.
This will be done by voice vote. All those in favor of using the recording as our meeting minutes signify by saying aye.
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 I heard at least 6. So the motion carries. Members and presenters, please raise your hand or say Chair Kernagus out loud to be recognized unless I call on you. That's never been a problem. Members and presenters, please turn off your microphone in front of you unless you're speaking. Also remember that to turn speakers on when you're going to talk so that your speaking is recorded. For the benefit of all Tennesseans, please avoid the overuse of jargon, and there's lots of it in our business, and acronyms where possible, and define any acronyms that you use. We'll now proceed with our next item on the agenda. Chair Hilliard, what's the next item?
I believe the next item will be the completion of the one remaining elective course that we have. And I see Ms. Summers has raised her hand.
Yes, Brianna? The chair recognizes Brianna Summers.
Thank you, Chair. Is it okay if I read the statement of necessity since we're meeting online?
Well, I think that's a good idea. Thank you. And I forgot that. I was going to turn it over to you, but thanks for raising your hand.
All good. Okay. Thank you. The Tennessee State Board of Education, ELA Standards Recommendation Committee, SRC, called an electronic meeting at 3:30 Central today, October 14th, 2025. This meeting is called to continue proposing revisions to the ELA standards. Due to the time-sensitive nature of the items on the committee's agenda and the fact that committee members reside across the state, it was determined that a physical quorum of the members could not be assembled in Nashville for the purposes of this meeting. As such, this meeting should be conducted electronically. Notice of this meeting was posted on the State Board's website along with the agenda and instructions for accessing the meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Summers. Co-Chair Hilliard, take us off.
Okay. We have, like I mentioned, one remaining elective course we need to look at the standards for. And then once we've done that, we'll be done with all the standards. We'll have supporting materials left to look at. I see Ms. Singletary has joined us. Hello, Ms. Singletary.
Yes. Hello, Ms. Singletary.
Hello.
After which there will be a little small celebration.
Yeah, definitely worthwhile. We will then need to move into looking at the supporting language for this particular course, as well as the supporting language overall for the elective courses. Once we've looked at the supporting language for those elective courses, we should essentially be done with electives. We'll then turn our attention back to the overall supporting language for the document more broadly, look at our introduction. We'll need to turn our attention to the glossary, to the appendix briefly, and then we will need to look at our parking lot, and that should be the remaining tasks, I believe.
Okay.
But our starting point will be etymology and linguistics, our last remaining elective course. If you look on the spreadsheet, that is in row 160.
Brianna, could I ask you to enlarge that a wee bit, please? Well, more than, there's better. Yeah, thanks.
And just so that we're all on the same page about these courses, thought it might be worthwhile to just simply look at the course description that's provided for etymology and linguistics.
Yes, please.
The current drafted course description is students of etymology study the origin and development of words, recognizing that their history affects their current meaning and use. Additionally, linguistics focuses on the structure of language. Together, these two areas build students' conceptual knowledge of language, reading comprehension, and writing proficiency. So that is a brief description. So it's the study of the origin and development of words, as well as the study of the structure of language.
Do they teach this at your school, Lacey? Doctor?
This specific course?
Yes.
No.
And how about you,
Not currently.
Co-Chair Hilliard? Do they teach it at your school?
No. I have not personally known any teachers of this particular subject. My understanding is it's a somewhat rare elective course, but obviously we're offering the standards. It's an interesting course, so we want to make sure it's as good as we can make it.
Well, I guess I'll jump in. I took the course in high school, and it was my favorite high school course. Hence the reason I'm a nerd today.
Okay, wonderful.
One flag, Chair Kernigis and members, this course, so you'll see it's etymology and linguistics. You can offer it currently, and this is up to the discretion of this committee. Currently, you can take just the etymology standards as a half credit or just the linguistic standards as a half credit, or if you want to do, one semester of each. So just something to keep in mind when you're thinking about the number and scope of standards as it's currently designed. And that's reflected in the substandard. I guess it sort of takes the place of a strand, if you will. So you'll see the ELE and the ELL, not English language learner, but etymology, linguistics.
Okay, thank you. I would assume that this is an honors level course.
I don't believe so, but high school educators, please correct me. I mean, schools might be doing that at their, respective institutions. It is available at the 9-12 level. The only subjects that we currently restrict in a similar fashion are the advanced journalism courses, 3 and 4, and advanced creative writing. But it's really just for anybody but 9th graders.
Did you say anybody but 9th graders?
Just for journalism 3, journalism 4, and advanced creative writing. So this course is open to any students grades 9 through 12.
Okay, thank you. I just want to kind of get a common understanding about that.
Mm-hmm. It is pretty niche, to Vice Chair Hilliard's point.
All right, let's dig in.
Okay. In row 160, we have the first. We'll go through the etymology standards, and then or the standards within the etymology strand, and then we'll move into the linguistic strand. The first standard in the etymology strand reads, "Trace how the English language has changed from its origin to the present day."
Anyone?
Proposed revisions there.
Hearing none, let's accept it and move on.
Okay. ELE2 reads, "Trace how American English became uniquely identifiable from other countries and how history, peoples, and geography shaped regionalisms throughout the country."
You got two standards in there, it seems to me. Regionalism is, are we talking regionalism linguistically or just the concept of regionalism? Anyone?
Certainly seems to me that it was talking about regional dialects of language, is my understanding of what is indicated by regionalisms here, rather than just regionalism more broadly.
Right, that it would be just the language.
Okay, then if we do that, can we say that, can we add that appropriately so that there's no confusion about that? I liked your word dialect. I don't know if that would better describe.
That's the language I would use. I'll be frank and say that I'm not an etymologist, so I can't definitively say that's the right term in that place, but that is what I would use, at least.
Would you care to speak to this topic, Catherine?
Oh goodness, I wouldn't consider myself an expert. I was just 12th grader in the class, but yes, I think dialects does matter when you talk about regionalisms. Geography shaped regionalisms throughout the country. Yeah, I think you could replace it in that instance.
Okay, so if we were to make that revision, it would read, trace how American English became uniquely identifiable from other countries and how history, peoples, and geography shaped regional dialects throughout the country.
I like that. Well said. Any problem with that?
Since we've changed it anyway, I think you can remove the word uniquely. I just think identifiable from other countries is fine. I wasn't going to say it, but since we revised it.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yep. Okay, everybody good with that one? Great, good job. Let's move on.
Okay. ELE 3 reads, explore how history, social, political, and economic pressures shape the language. Is it meaning historical pressures, or is it meaning to say explore how history and social, political, and economic pressures shape the language? Because I don't think history is modifying pressures as it's currently written, or at least if it is, that's not how it should be phrased.
Well, and then you have history in the one above too, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, you're right.
I could see removing history from the one above and just making the one above about people and geography, and then dealing with history, social, political, and economics in the next one.
I agree with that. How would that look then?
Well, if it's removed from the previous standard, then the previous standard would now read, and how peoples and geography shaped regional dialects throughout the country. If it's maintained in ELE 3, I guess our main decision would be, are we talking about something we would refer to as historical pressures? Because if so, we would just change history to historical. If we feel like history is separate from social, political, and economic pressures, then we would need to say explore how history and social, political, and economic pressures shape the language.
Do we like the word pressures there? And is it not,
I would say,
as opposed to influences?
yeah, I would think either influences or forces, perhaps.
I think influences, and I think you have a noun and adjectives. I think that's what you're pointing out. History is a noun, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and social and political are adjectives.
Yeah.
So
For that,
historical.
So just historical. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
well, I would prefer to keep history in the one above and eliminate history in the one down below. Then all that has to read is social, political, and economic pressures, or not influences.
Yeah, I think either is fine. I just don't think we need it both places. I'm
Right.
fine with whichever decision.
Okay. Chair Kanagas, I'm fine with that.
Okay, we'll put history up above, take it out below, and then we're just dealing with social, yeah, good. All right, everybody okay with that? All right, we're moving on.
Okay. ELE 4 reads, understand how to research language origins and the impacts on language development.
Do we just want them to understand how to do that, or do we actually want them to do it?
I hear your point. I think you can say research language origins. I don't understand impact on language development. I don't actually understand what the second part is asking students to do.
Yeah, I think what it's attempting to say is that they want students to be able to research the origin of a particular word, and then also research what has led to the development of that word or words over the course of time. At least that's how I'm reading it. But I agree, it took me a good 30 seconds to parse that and figure out what it was trying to say. So I do think it's ambiguous in its wording.
Can you say it better in starting with research?
Okay. I I can attempt to. I'm a little nervous that I might not reflect exactly what is intended by the standard because I'm not 100% sure what is exactly intended by the standard.
Well, that's all we could do is to do attempt. We're a forgiving lot here. So you just throw it out there, and if we want to change it, we'll change it. But let's start with don't use understand how. Just
Okay.
say,
Um, I mean, I don't know if this is, I don't think it's precise enough, but my first attempt was just to say research language origins and developments.
in their development or its development.
Um, well, then we would need to say languages origins, because language is functioning as a modifier of origins right now rather than a possessive
So
noun.
is it word development, research, language origins, and word developments? I don't know. I'm just trying to add some clarity. For example, English is language origin Latin, right? I don't know.
Greek.
But Greek, but there are some words in English that are not of that origin, right? There are some words in English that are, different origin. So word development.
Do you have anything on this at the department? Kim, you got anything on this?
I do not. I can contact Banks and see if he has anything. I personally do not.
That'd be
Okay.
great. Thank you.
In other elective courses, we have, because to me, this is also, it's just incorporating research skills. So in other elective courses, we've also said use research skills or use research skills when appropriate. We
Okay.
might consider using that language as well.
Could we, that opens up, actually, if we say use research skills, we could say you use research skills to identify language origins and track word developments.
Yes. That sure is better than what was said before. I see Dr. Now nodding. I'm
How
good with
about
that.
how about trace?
Okay. Yeah, that mirrors the language we've used elsewhere.
Great. All right. Any problems with that? Any improvements? No? Let's move on. Thank you for throwing that out there, Co-Chair Hilliard.
Of course. ELE 5 reads, apply knowledge of Latin and Greek origins to the study of English words and word families across content areas.
Specifically identifying just Latin and Greek here. No Anglo-Saxon. I'm okay with it the way it is. I think it's very important.
I'm also okay with it as is.
Okay, I see nods. Let's move on then.
Okay. ELE 6 reads, study the connotative and denotative meanings of words in a variety of contexts.
Hmm. And that's got references back into the other standards, right, Dr. Now? Do we have to indicate that anywhere? No? Okay.
I don't believe so. I mean, that's the language we used in the, I believe, language standards. We were intentional about just differentiating between connotative and denotative meaning, so it seems appropriate to do so here as well.
All right. I accept it. Everybody else okay with it? Hearing no objections, let's move on.
Okay. By completing that standard, we are now done with the etymology strand, and we're now into the linguistic strand.
Wonderful.
Just something I wanted to flag really quickly for all but one of these linguistic standards. You'll notice that they are essentially using what we've been using as substandards as ways of providing lists. We have been pretty intentional about not doing that throughout the standards. So I think it might be worthwhile for us to consider how to just not change the wording of what's being provided, but just slightly alter how it's presented. Because as it currently stands, we're presenting as substandards just essentially individual words or phrases.
I agree. Thank you.
Okay. So for ELL1, we have trace the morphological elements of language, words and morphemes, neologisms, inflections, derivations, and exceptions.
Do we have to say including?
I think we would either say including, or we could use the specifically form that we've used elsewhere as a parentheses. I don't have a strong preference there. I just would defer to the committee.
Do we have to precede that with IE or no?
I don't believe it would be an IE because I think this is intended to be the complete list of morphological elements.
Okay.
So
Since it is the complete list, I would think specifically
okay.
mirror what we've done.
And then I believe we should lowercase morphological, and then I think we should also lowercase each of these words within the list. To my knowledge, these are not proper nouns.
I agree.
Would words and morphemes, if we were to make this into a specifically list, would they be two separate items within the list, or are words and morphemes considered an item that needs to be presented together? I don't have enough knowledge of linguistics to answer that myself.
Mr. Hilliard, I do not have an answer to your question, but I am currently looking for other states that offer etymology and have core standards on their website. It's not turning up super fruitful yet, but I will report back if I find anything.
Thank you.
Okay. I've without separating words and morphemes, I have presented what this I think would look like in I-166.
If we get inspired later on and want to change that, we can do that. I'm accepting. Somebody thought through this. I don't see any need to change it right now. I'm comfortable with it. Are you all comfortable with it? I see nods. All right, let's move on.
Okay.
We have the same language in here.
Yeah, I am a bit confused. I think we can simply remove ELL2 because it looks to be a duplicate of the previous standard.
It sure does. Yeah, take it out.
I can double check to make sure that wasn't a coding error in Stata. If you want to circle back.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you. I'll mark it as removed right now, and then if there is a standard that just got eliminated there, we can take a look back at that afterwards.
That'd be great. Yeah, sometimes if the coding is just one dot off, it'll sort of set everything off.
Okay. I did notice that morphological is lowercase in the second standard, whereas it was uppercase in the previous. So that could have theoretically had some impact.
Yes.
Moving on. ELL 3 reads, analyze phonetics of language with a focus on speech sounds and their physiological production and acoustic qualities.
Sounds good to me. Yep, I see nods. Let's move on, unless we want to change. Hear no recommendations for changing, we accept it.
Okay. ELL 4 reads, study the phonology of language, including organization of letters / sounds into words, B, intonation. I think if we were to move this into a sentence like we've done elsewhere, would we want to just maintain including and just turn this into a sentence form? Or would this be an example of something we would need to turn into an EG or a specifically?
I hate to interrupt, Vice Chair Hilliard. I think something happened with the Stata coding where it's all one off, so I can quickly update those. Let me see if there's a place y'all can pick back up. Looks like EL7 is correct. Looks like or I should say ELL 7 is correct as intended. It looks like ELL6 is correct as intended. Looks like ELL5 is maybe when we're having issues. If you can give me 1 second, I can update these so that they reflect. Does that make sense? So if y'all circle back to 6 and 7, I'll fix these. They're all correct. They're just because I guess the coding got messed up. They're one off. Oh, and Miss Dockery joined us. Hi, Miss Dockery.
On 4, that sounds more like an activity rather than a standard to me. If we just want them to have them study, that doesn't say anything about what we want them to learn or be able to do.
Okay. Is there another verb you would prefer there?
We've used trace in other instances thus far in this strand.
I'm content with trace.
I'm content with trace. That's better than study. Indicating that they're going to be able to make some connections.
So it currently reads, trace the phonology of language, including the organization of letters / sounds into words and intonation. We haven't really used slashes very frequently, so would that be letters and or sounds? Would that be an instance of and or would that be an instance of and?
I like what you said. And or is good with me. Any other changes? Okay, I'll keep it as Coach Hilliard had amended it, please. Moving on.
Is it clear that intonation is a separate item here with the current phrasing, trace the phonology of language, including the organization of letters and or sounds into words and intonation? I'm a little worried it feels like into words and into, like, I'm a little worried that intonation reads as the object of the preposition into, in addition to words, but I may just be misguided there.
No, I see your point. We need to revise.
I get the sense that they were intentionally listed one after another for a reason, but could it be that we just simply say including intonation and the organization of letters and or sounds into words? Is some meaning lost there?
I'm okay with that. Everybody okay with that? Yes, I think that
So, yeah.
that clarifies it.
Okay. So it would now read, trace the phonology of language, including intonation and the organization of letters and or sounds into words.
Yes. Thank you. Moving on.
And that's a revision of what is actually 3, since we've been. Brianna, have you had the chance to change all of those now? Or are we looking at the correct standards?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you. So yeah, that would be 3, and so maybe you're keeping 2, it looks like. Or have you looked at 2? That might be new.
I think we kept
Yes.
this 2, right? Yes.
Yeah, so from here on out, we're good.
Okay, great. All right. ELL 4 reads analyze the elements of syntax, competence/performance, structure and ambiguity, constituent structure and tree diagrams, transformations, phase structure and rules.
All right, well, first of all, take out the of.
Yeah, true. I think I skipped over that when I was reading.
Analyze the elements of syntax, including or specifically whatever we decide.
I think the best way to me to do this, since it is going to be a pretty lengthy list, we could do lists within a list, kind of use semicolons to separate the items.
Agreed.
What's it going to look like then? Are we going to say specifically?
I believe so. That's at least what I'm drafting right now. I'm obviously open to other ideas, but that's what I have started preparing.
But all of the elements don't seem to match up to me. Specifically the you use rules, you don't analyze the rules. You use tree diagrams, you don't analyze the tree diagrams. So we have functional items, and then we have what we actually the actual content.
I agree. So we could eliminate those. If they want to use tree diagrams to analyze that, that's fine. But I don't know that it needs to be in there. It's not equivalent. And what else did you have in there? Rules?
Another instance, yes.
Okay, so the proposed edit would be to eliminate and tree diagrams and then also and rules. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, so what I have currently is analyze the elements of syntax, specifically competence/performance, structure and ambiguity, semicolon, constituent structure, semicolon, transformations, semicolon, and phrase structure.
Can anyone explain competence/performance?
I cannot.
Catherine, you want to take a stab at it?
I think I understand what they mean by performance. I don't know what they mean by competence. Performance is
Okay. I just looked it up really quickly.
okay.
In linguistics, competence is the unconscious unconscious knowledge of language's grammatical rules, while performance is the actual use of language in real situations.
Okay.
So the use would be.
That's what I was going to say about performance. That's what I knew. I've never heard competence. So.
Okay, thank you. It belongs in there.
Should they be slashed like that? It seems like they're separate things, so shouldn't it just be a comma separating these two? Specifically, competence, comma, performance,
Yes,
comma,
I think
structure,
so.
and ambiguity.
We haven't used slashes much, have we?
No.
Yeah, I think that's better. All right, looks good to me. Anybody got any more changes? All right, we're moving on.
Okay. ELL 5 reads. Okay. Discovering sentence structure through formulating grammatical rules, which is a sentence fragment.
That sounds more like a teaching strategy than a standard.
Yeah, I mean that boundary will get a little fuzzier sometimes with elective courses. We definitely have some things that err a little more on the side of strategy for, like, for instance, the creative writing courses. But I see where you're coming from there.
Dr. Now?
I'm a little confused as to what the intention behind the standard is. Are we supposed to use standard grammar? Are we supposed to use grammar to help us discover how to formulate sentences or construct correct sentences?
Yeah,
Are we supposed to be studying how grammar rules formed? The INGs are throwing me off. I don't know what the intent is.
yeah, I'm not entirely sure myself. It sounds as if currently worded, I mean, if you're formulating a grammatical rule, it seems as though you're developing one yourself. And I don't think students are likely being asked to kind of create a new grammar.
I can pull the currently active elective standards. It looks like there were edits to this one.
I wonder if it's formulated instead of formulating.
I'd be in favor of just dropping it, but if there's something in there of substance,
It does seem to be also kind of slightly analogous to the standard above when it comes to sentence. I mean, I guess sentence structure and syntax are not the same thing. But there is a touch of overlap there.
Unfortunately, the current standards are even more sentence fragments. So it looks like they've done some consolidation, given the fact that some of them are 2 words or 1 word.
Okay.
So I can put these side by side. I don't know how helpful this will be, and I can zoom in. Give me 1 second. So thank you to our predecessors for making these complete thoughts.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Okay, where were we? Y'all are on 5, this 5? Or no, you're on this 4.
We are on standard 5 on our own document, but I think the old standard that we're adapting would be the old L8.
Oh, there you go. Okay. So that's where your ing came from.
Yeah, it seems to be just kind of they've added the word sentence, but otherwise it's been moved directly over from the currently existing standard.
So one clue that you can review or not review, if helpful, is that it looks like there's a connection to a language standard. At least in the currently active, it looks like, what is it, language standard 1 and language standard 2? At least in the currently active. I can pull that up as well.
I wonder if they're talking about inductive reasoning here.
Oh gosh. Also, I did look for a bunch of states. It does appear that Indiana teaches etymology, but I was only able to find the course description so far. I have not looked for linguistics, but I'm happy to. Okay, so it looks like command of standard English grammar when writing or speaking is the one cornerstone that the standard is supposed to link to. And then the fairly similar one, capitalization, punctuation, spelling when writing. So I guess it's just what's the connection between linguistics and grammar, etc. But I defer to you all here.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me like it's gesturing and asking students to identify the grammatical structures within sentences. But I also noticed that the previous linguistic standards had these subcategories of morphology, phonetics, phonology, and syntax. This is the only other syntax standard alongside the standard we just did previously. Our version of the former L7 is the current ELL4. So these do seem to be kind of working in analog with each other.
I like what you said, Coach Terry Hilliard. That seemed to make more sense. Can you say it again?
Can try. I'm not sure if I know what I said.
You said identify something. Identify correct sentence structure using grammatical rules.
I threw together, I don't love it, but I threw together something and kind of an attempt that just identify sentence structure through the analysis of grammatical rules. I don't know if that's exactly what is intended here, but I'm just trying not to dramatically alter the standard since there is some ambiguity about what it's asking for.
Is it analyze the sentence structure through or by using grammatical rules or using grammatical tools?
I like that.
I do too. Yes, I would go for that. Can you write that on there? And then we can see if we've got consensus on
Yeah,
that.
there it
Or
is.
are we okay with that? I see a bunch of nods, so let's move on. I think we've got the answer.
Just so you're aware, I'm asking Banks about it. He is typing back. I'm not sure what he has to say, but I'll share that in the chat with you.
Okay.
Thank you.
If we need to roll back, we'll roll back.
Okay. Then ELL6 reads, analyze the role semantics play in language development with a specific focus on theories of meaning. Don't believe semantics would be a proper noun.
No.
Are theories of meaning? Those don't seem as though that would be a proper noun to me, but I don't want to speak out of turn there.
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, this one person wrote these standards. If somebody else wants to use this course, they may not use theories of meaning. You may need to just say analyze rule semantics play in language development.
So theories of meaning is it is not a proper noun, but it is a technical term. I just Googled according to the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. These are theories by which we explain how symbols convey ideas, and then there are many subcategories of theories of meaning, such as correspondence theories, referential theories, semantic theories. So it does seem to be a term within the field.
Okay, sounds important to me then. I like the way you have it right there.
Yeah, but Stanford does not capitalize it, so I think.
Okay. Are we good then the way that Coach Cheryl Hilliard has described it? I see no objections. Let's move on.
Okay, then we are on to our final standard. ELL7 reads, analyze the effects pragmatics have on language development. A, rules of conversation. B, speech acts. C, language of persuasion. Are those meant
I
to
would
be?
say pragmatism, but is pragmatics supposed to be specific to the subject?
I am doing a quick Google at the moment. The
Pragmatics
pragmatics is the branch of linguistics that studies how context influences the meaning of language.
Well, I guess that's a yes.
Okay, so how do we take the little letters out?
Okay. I assume those are examples of ways in which a language develops rather than examples of pragmatics. Are we interpreting that the same way? And if so, would this be a specifically or an EG situation?
I think you can use your commas, language development in, and then list them all with commas.
I was doing some looking up as well. So it seems to me that elements of pragmatics are rules of conversation, speech acts, and language of
Right.
persuasion.
Okay. So those are elements of pragmatics, not
I mean,
instances of language development.
if we're going to be more precise, somebody else can also do a quick little bit of research as well, but I believe so. From my brief understanding.
Okay. So if that were to be added after as a specifically list after pragmatics, it might read something like analyze the effects pragmatics, specifically rules of conversation, speech acts, language of persuasion have on language development.
I like that. Doctor now? Okay. Patty?
Yeah.
All right. And anybody else have any comments? Otherwise,
So yes, before you say otherwise, we're
okay.
I guess what this feels like it's missing to me is any reference to the role technology is playing in accelerating language development, accelerating language evolution, I should say. I also don't see any kind of practical skills in here. It's all like analyze, understand, trace, but like there are no projects, nowhere where they're applying these. And I just feel like those two elements are missing in this strand of standards.
Well, I think applications are more activities related to learning the standards. So I wouldn't be wanting to include too many of those applications in there. But I think technology and the use of that, we already eliminated a standard. We could create a new standard for that.
I will also say, if we go back to ELE3, it reads explore how social, political, and economic influences shape the language. We could perhaps add some language about technological influences, explore how social, political, economic, and technological influences shape the language.
I'm good with that, Coach Hilliard. That's a great idea.
Dr. Stout, do you feel that better captures what you're...
Yeah, I think that's fine. We could do it there, or we can make it its own, but I think it's fine to do it there as well.
Thank you for remembering that and putting that in there, especially as we talk about getting the students to see themselves as a future citizen. In a window, not a mirror. Okay, so then using that modification to 3, are we okay with our last one? Hearing no objection, then I would say that we are complete. And we'll keep that as revised. And did you say we are done with all of the standards, Vice Chair Hilliard?
Dr. Stout, I saw you just drop some language in the chat.
Well, I was trying to think if it was his own standalone, but I think you kind of solved the issue. The question is, do we think it's important enough to make it a standalone standard, or do we just want to put it in there? Either way is fine.
I like the way you modified 3, just personally.
All right, then let's move forward.
Okay. Once again, is this the last standard that we have to review?
Kim, did you hear anything from Banks?
So on the first one that you mentioned, the ELE4, you just said that the change you made sounded reasonable. And then the one about, what was it, formulating grammatical rules, something like that. He
Yes.
didn't have any context on that, and he liked what you all created better. So, yeah.
Great.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
All right.
We have completed the supporting for specifically etymology and linguistics, and then more broadly for like that table at the introduction of the supporting language for the elective courses.
Okay.
It might have just been me, but you might have cut out, Vice Chair Hilliard. Did you want to go to this, or did you want to go to the table?
I think we should look at the etymology and linguistics first, because I think that should be quick, and we've done that elsewhere when we've looked at the elective courses.
And we're hot on the language.
Let's do it.
Okay, so course description, like I read earlier, currently reads, students of etymology study the origin and development of words, recognizing that their history affects their current meaning and use. Additionally, linguistics focuses on the structure of language. Together, these two areas build students' conceptual knowledge of language, reading comprehension, and writing proficiency. And then under content standards, it reads, a study in etymology and linguistics expands language standards. Students not only develop accuracy with the conventions and word choice, but they also understand the logic behind the constructs and build sophistication in their own writing.
Well said.
I think it probably should say language standards and writing standards, where it says expands on, since there's a later reference to how it built sophistication in their writing.
Do they need to be capitalized?
We've done that elsewhere.
Okay.
That is not something that I feel particularly strongly about, but since we've done that elsewhere, I just was doing that consistently.
Okay.
I don't have any real revisions outside of that for the course description or content standards if no one else does.
I hear none. Let's move on.
Okay. Then we should be good on the individual elective courses, and I think we've looked at all of the course descriptions and content standards for each of the elective courses as we've gone through those courses. So I think we're in pretty good shape there. So I think we would just simply need to look at page 1 and then the very top of page 2 for the supporting language for the elective standards, which primarily would be the table there, though we have some language up at the top as well.
Can you expand that, Brianna?
Yes. We can start on the table or the long form writing if that works.
Okay.
We can get it bigger.
That's good. Thanks.
Let's see. Oh, there we go. All the way to 200. One grammar question that I would love my ELA expert's thoughts on. Would we normally capitalize these subjects throughout?
I think since we're treating them as courses, probably so.
Okay, cool.
I'd agree with that.
There might be an extra space here. Yep.
I do think, and I don't, if other people disagree, I think we've intentionally avoided the ampersand throughout the standards itself, and so I don't know if especially in the context of an etymology and linguistics course, I think maybe we should use the word "and" rather than the ampersand there, but that might, I'm obviously not going to die on that hill.
Well, we've been a stickler for consistency, so I think we ought to remove it.
Yes, I think you might want to also change it here. Oh, and you, in terms of precedent, you do have speech and comp here, so, or com here.
Okay. So we would need to change it in the table as well.
Yes, be great, thank you. Okay, I was just checking the other ones.
And Brianna, when you do these, do we not normally call out a definition of the table below and give it a number so that you keep content and tables together, and then have headers that repeat at the top of each if a table breaks across a page?
That's certainly what I do when I write reports.
Please.
So it sounds like we have a unofficial motion for and you can just write table X or figure X, and I can make sure they're numbered properly.
Yeah.
Good point.
Would someone else like me to write that, or is someone gonna write that themselves?
I'm happy
We
to.
would love for you to write
Put
that.
it in for reference.
Okay. So
She can title it.
would that just go right above the table? Just table.
Tables
X?
usually are called out on top. Figures are called out below the figure.
Okay.
So this would be table X dot whatever, and then whatever it represents,
Yeah, I don't know.
wherever we call it out.
Don't
You'll
know if
need to
we
find
do.
the call out above. The following English electives, are these electives? If
Yes.
they are, then it should go, the table call out should be table right there between electives offered.
Okay. So it would just be a parentheses table X.
Paren, table X dot X, whatever.
Yeah, do we need
And
a
then
table
you
below?
need a title. Yeah, English electives.
Maybe guidance? Kim, I'm open to
Or-
thoughts.
Yeah, whatever we're calling it up above.
Like English language arts electives, guidance. I don't know, because really you're just trying to tell. I mean, you're connecting course management to standards,
Yeah.
in my mind.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So, and that would need to go after the table X above
Table
the
X period,
Mhm.
space, then the title.
Okay. Is that in title case or is that in sentence case?
Title case.
Okay. And what was the language we had said, Brianna, for that?
Open to thoughts, but maybe English language arts electives, course guidance, and then somehow fit in the word standards. Let me see if the course management system has some thoughts here. So the formal name for the course management system, Kim, feel free to correct me at any point, is the Tennessee Course Catalog. So maybe, I don't, it's not quite a crosswalk, is it? I don't know. You're connecting the Tennessee Course Catalog and the Tennessee elective standards to provide guidance, is the purpose of this table. I'm good with it as written, but go ahead, Miss Baird.
No, I think I was just going to say course guidance in relation to the whatever else you said. It's a long title for a table. But
Yeah, I'm good with the way I think Vice Chair
I think it's fine there. Yeah.
Is it courses guidance or course guidance?
I was just mimicking what, because the title of this document is English Language Arts Elective Courses. So I was mimicking English Language Arts Elective Courses down below alongside just adding guidance.
Okay.
To correct that, I'm not married to that language if y'all feel that it's cleared.
I'm good with it.
I would just request that we say, in the spirit of our chair's guidance. Just, is everyone okay with identifying
Sure.
the acronym so that y'all can use it going forward? So I suppose we would also want to put it here. Feel free to stop me. Hold me back.
There you go.
And then I think you
And
can.
that should be bolded.
Yes.
That should the table call out, but as you clean it up, that'll get done, I assume.
But you're good. Let's do it. Do not want to forget your
So
expert
the
guidance.
call out in text would be bolded.
Yes, that too.
Okay. Including the parentheses.
No,
No, not the parentheses.
no, not the parentheses.
Thanks for keeping us on the straight and narrow, Miss Baird.
'Kay. 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 '
Okay, are we good now? Co-Chair Hilliard?
Or if I'm good, if everyone else is good with those opening two paragraphs as written.
I'm good with them. Does anybody have any more recommendations for changes? Hearing none, I say we're done with this discussion.
Okay, then all that remains for this document is the table. So I think it would make sense to kind of go row by row through the table. Some of these decisions are relatively weighty since we're making decisions about what exactly entails a half credit and a full credit and how many possible credits a student can earn.
Yes, and one thing I think is outside of the scope of this committee are the number of possible credits to earn. So I would just work backwards from those numbers.
Okay.
But in terms of like the allocation of standards, like if if y'all wanted to change any of this, that's would be very helpful.
Okay. Okay, so genre literature currently reads grades 9 through 12, teach all standards for a half credit, and then full credit is teach all standards in greater depth and or teach more than one genre of literature.
And my understanding of half credit versus full credit, educators, please correct me, but it's semester versus school year, assuming, minus block scheduling.
Right.
So what do you think kids can get done in a semester versus what do you think they can handle for the whole school year?
And I would just say we workshopped Bible in our last class, our last meeting to include language about teaching more than one religious text in a non-sectarian manner. We intentionally kind of mirrored the language we had done for genre literature in Bible. So if we do decide to alter any of this language for genre literature, it would likely have downstream impacts. Just wanted to flag that for folks. I personally am fine with the current wording for
I am fine with it. Anybody have a problem? All right, let's move on. Brianna,
Okay.
can you expand it just a little bit? A little bit more. Thank you.
Okay. Next is mythology, which currently reads 9 through 12, teach standards M1 through M9 for half credit, and then full credit is teach all standards. I personally, we intentionally, Dr. Stout proposed some edits to, I can't remember, I think it was mythology, but it might have been genre literature. But I know there were edits made to kind of make sure these classes mirror each other. And I do think they can do so pretty easily. I don't know why we wouldn't mirror the half credit and full credit expectations for genre literature on mythology as well. So just simply ask them to teach all standards for the half credit and then teach all standards in greater depth and or teach more than one mythology for a full credit.
I'm good with that. I think that's going to provide a little bit more meat in the curriculum rather than just a happy course.
And mythology generally does have fewer standards already than several other elective courses, so I don't feel as though that's giving a particularly difficult onus on mythology teachers.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you also have it mirrored where there are topic options. So in genre literature, you have, all of these topics, and in mythology, you also have topics.
Okay, any more changes to that? Accept it as read or as printed now.
Okay. Okay. Etymology and linguistics. I don't where it says on the course on the side, I don't know why it says etymology and linguistics, E etymology, L linguistics. I'm a bit befuddled by that. I think it should just read etymology E and linguistics L, correct?
Yep.
I agree. And we take
Well,
out the
but those are part of the course codes.
Right.
So the course codes were ELE and ELL.
But the
Yes,
overall course I'm hearing, I remember correctly, was just EL, right? Miss Now.
Oh, excuse me.
I do think you have appointments now. I think, let me look on the course management system.
Yes, you're correct. EL.
Um, oh, wait.
ELE and EL. It does bother me just a little that they do look so similar to English language learning, but that's a completely separate idea and concept and framework. So I'm going to hush about it.
Mhm.
Lucas, just for consistency, take the space after mythology on the line on the row above out so that it's mythology and then immediately M, paren, M, close paren. See where it's got an extra space.
Yeah, I see it now.
I think it might be a paragraph spacing issue. Nope. Hold on.
Like there's a space stuck in so that it broke the line.
Yeah, I think
Like all the others.
I think it may just be double spaced there rather than
Maybe that's what it is.
single
Yeah.
spaced elsewhere.
Yeah, just mark it so it can be fixed.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, do we have anything on the third line? Any more changes?
Mm.
If not, let's move on.
Well, I do think we still are kind of sorting out. I may be wrong, but I thought we were waiting. Ms. Summers, did you have something from the course description or from what you were looking at about etymology and linguistics and whether we should use EL or separate E and L as they currently are?
I see what was meant now, I think, which is that, in the standards, it's EL.E and
Mhm.
EL.L. So they're trying to differentiate between E and L, but
I still think the
whatever.
overall course is EL though, and we've treated it as one course, and the only reason they would be separated would be for a half credit. And we haven't really used strands as ways of providing a course code. So I think it would be still EL because I mean, like in English 3 and 4, we lump those together into one thing, and those are very much two separate courses.
That's a good point.
So
Yeah, I'm okay. If column C row, this relevant row stays the same, I think that's sufficiently clear. I think if you were to omit that, I would be confused personally on y'all's intention. And I do think we need the parentheses of some sort so it matches the other ones.
yeah, I think my proposal would just be to say etymology and linguistics parentheses EL and then remove E etymology and L linguistics. But if other people think that makes that confusing, then I don't want to make anyone confused.
Fine.
I do think your point's well taken, Vice Chair Hilliard, about strands have not functioned as courses. So the other option would be to change the course code or to change the standard code. Let me just say, hopefully you could technically just remove that. You could make them separate rows if you're worried about that. Defer to the committee on your preferences there.
We just want to make it as simple and clear as possible rather than muddy the waters.
Right. I just
Makes
think
it
since we're currently treating it as one course, I mean, like we have one course description for the course.
Mhm.
We have one standard code for the course. To me, we're treating it as one course, and I feel as though maybe I'm wrong, but I think if someone knows that a half credit entails just teaching the etymology standards or just teaching the linguistic standards, I think that's relatively clear without breaking them up in the course title. But
Just an idea. Under the column that says full credit, why don't we use the EL, and then under the half credit, use the subtitles that you wanted under those columns, so that they know that if it's under the full credit, we're using that etymology and linguistics. And then on the other one, it's just etymology or linguistics. So we would stick the different courses under the credit column. Just an idea.
So Chair, would it look something like what I'm typing right
Yeah.
now? Broke strangely, but
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
if we did that, would we then feel comfortable removing what I just removed on the course under the course header?
Yes.
I don't want to. I don't want to railroad anyone. Just this is just my personal preference. So if other people disagree, I don't want to overstep.
I'd say remove them in column under the course column and put them in the credit column. That's my take.
I think you need to showcase the EL together though, because that's over in the standards themselves, right?
Yes.
I think this way works personally.
Which
The way
way?
I've the way I've
The way it's written right now.
Okay. Any other changes recommended there? If not, then let's go with the way we've got it.
Is there a dash or a star after the L in the third column there? Etymology, standards, linguistics,
Yeah, there's a little star up there.
You're
or
talking about-
something.
I think it was just a backspace. Here, I can get rid of it.
Okay.
This is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, we're good. Yeah. And I appreciate you flagging the spacing, Vice Chair Hilliard. I think because some of this is on Word and some of this is on Google Docs for its various purposes, I promise to clean up the tables. Okay. I'll make a note.
You're doing the cleaning, Brianna?
It's a group effort, but I will
Okay.
ensure that we look at the tables because that would drive me.
And you'll inform us if anything's out of whack, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Summers, do you feel all right with what we've currently done on this row? Okay. Okay, then if so, then I think we're ready to move on to the next row. Visual literacy is pretty self-explanatory since a half credit is not available, so I think we can probably move on from that. As well as journalisms 1 through 4. I think those are also pretty straightforward.
Yes.
Speech and communication as well. Okay, well, we do need to make a decision because we refer to the course as speech and communications, plural, elsewhere. So do we want it to be speech and communication, or do we want it to be speech and communications?
I can also check course management. Course management has it at plural communications.
Okay.
So we would just communicate with the department if y'all felt differently.
Yeah, I feel like making it plural is appropriate.
Yes. Agreed. All right, then on creative writing, are we going to have them teach all the standards and then teach with less intensity and
I think I mean that's my personal preference is the teach all standards versus teach all standards in greater depth. I think once we start parsing out specific standards, and it's easier to do with etymology and linguistics because they're really two separate things that have been kind of lumped together. But for creative writing, it feels a bit arbitrary. I also don't understand, like, I don't know. To me, it feels strange to just eliminate some of the standards, especially since we made an intentional effort to ensure that the standards were not specific tasks anymore and were more like broad skills or types of knowledge.
I agree. We had another course that we did that for, though, where you used the wording you just did and you made that change in it.
It's a little harder for creative writing than it is for mythology because we can't just say teach all standards in greater depth and or teach more than one type of mythology. We can't just say teach more than one type of creative writing because the course standards themselves already require someone to teach more than one type of creative writing.
Okay.
But
So
I
how
do
would you
think we
put
could
that
simply
then?
say teach all standards in greater depth. I think that is.
I like that. Is there anybody that would like to change that? Why don't you go ahead and put that in an official column right now? And
I just did.
okay, great. Thank you. Any change to that? Hearing none, let's move on.
Okay. Advanced creative writing is not available as a half credit, so that is easier. And then advanced creative writing, it says the focus areas for the two classes need to be distinctly different. However, students can build upon work from one course to the next.
I think we need to define what two classes are talking about.
It just means the 2 times you take the class. Because you can get 2 possible advanced creative writing credits. So the 2 instances in which you take the class.
Oh, okay, okay. Anybody have any problem with that? All right, let's move on.
And then we had workshopped Bible already. So if we're still good with the Bible language that we had workshopped in our last meeting, then I think we're.
I think so. Yeah, we discussed and discussed that, so I think we're good.
Sorry, I may have missed the conversation. My spouse needed something. So, what would be the focus areas for 2 classes being different with advanced creative writing? Is it analogous to mythology or no? I
No,
just want to make sure I'm understanding y'all's intent.
Yeah. I mean, I think what they're trying to say is perhaps at the advanced level, students would start to maybe study. They might have a class that was specifically dedicated to a certain type of writing, and then another course that was specifically dedicated to another type of writing, like another genre of writing. But I will say our standards did not really reflect that. I could see where that would be functionally possible, but I have not. I don't think our standards reflect that as written.
Okay. I'm looking at course management, and currently it's only offered as 1 credit. So this must be date language. Would y'all prefer that it be 2 credit options, or would you prefer that it maintain as 1 credit option?
Hmm.
I mean, I get the intent because I could see a pathway being kind of developed where a student would stay within creative writing for several years.
Mhm.
Just like they do in choir and band.
Right. But I don't know if I do feel as though with the way we've currently written the standards, it doesn't necessarily feel appropriate to say the focus areas for the 2 classes need to be distinctly different because I don't see how someone could really meet all of the standards for the course while having a distinctly different focus in each of those 2 courses. If they're both meant to teach the advanced creative writing standards.
Right. Cam, how much, if at all, do y'all work alongside the Tennessee course catalog and course management?
My team does not at all. I can ask Banks. I don't know if his team does.
That would be helpful.
Okay.
Thank you, Kim.
Is making a change here really within our purview? Do we have the capacity to make that change?
Great question, Vice Chair Hilliard. I would say whatever is currently in course management generally is how I think districts schedule things. So I would say if you want to keep 2 here, that would be a proposal to the folks who lead the Tennessee course catalog. That's sort of why I was inquiring. It sounded like y'all were leaning towards the 1 credit anyway, and then that would align with what's currently in the course catalog. I'm happy to request the 2 credits, but I think this might just be a mismatch between these 2 systems.
Why did it appear there then? Why is there a 2 up there?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think, the left hand and the right hand.
Well,
So do we want to just simply change this to 1?
I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to be that fast. I like the scenario that you painted. to people that are, have the vision becoming a novelist. Why not allow them to take two years of creative writing? And some districts have not enough kids in creative writing 1 to conduct a class, or creative writing 2, and they may be offering the classes simultaneously with the same teacher. So one person's getting credit for the second level while the other kids are in there getting credit for the first level.
I like it too. Is there a way that we could include language under the full credit option to distinguish basically what we're trying to distinguish in the other column? And the number of possible credits to clarify?
Yeah, we haven't done that in the other courses where a half credit is not available, since we've mostly just used the full credit option as a way of specifying the difference between a half and a full credit.
Well, but this is a unique instance,
Right.
to my understanding.
Mhm.
So in this instance, then a half credit would still not be available.
Right.
But then we could build the 2 courses and keep the credit the same.
What wording would you have to offer them for that block, Dr. Now?
Well, I'm proposing keeping the majority of the existing language, just moving it into the full credit column and then revising that to be clear. Does that make sense?
Yeah. We do have, my only concern with that is we do kind of have language analogous to this language up in genre, literature, mythology, in the last column.
Yeah. One thought. Oh, first I wanted to flag, Kim, you said Banks handles this. Would
Yes.
Banks be able to speak to this in writing or in meeting at any point?
Yes, I believe he's still in his meeting with the number of questions he's gotten today. I think he's going to try and pop over. I'll just mention that we would like to speak with him if possible, but if not in person, then in writing for sure.
Okay, that sounds great. I appreciate y'all. So we could put this at the end of the parking garage and circle back. The only thought I had in terms of your options, I think we talked about this briefly before, but how it says the type of mythology needs to be different, the type of genre focus needs to be different. If y'all had specific ideas, you could build out a list similar to this for advanced creative writing. I think I heard something about like novels and et cetera, et cetera.
My only concern about that is just that if I remember correctly, our standards for creative or advanced creative writing, some of them are specific to drama and some are specific to poetry and some are specific to prose. I may be misremembering that, but I thought I remembered that distinction.
Let's take a look. Okay, we've got
yeah, so we have drama pretty directly.
Set I defer to y'all on. I mean, you've got short form writing here, public service announcement, poems.
So that's why, to me, if we have a course that's just poetry or long form writing, it's inherently not going to hit the other standards there. To me, the easiest thing to do would just be if we go back to advanced creative writing, instead of saying the focus areas, we could just say the 2 classes need to be distinctly different and kind of allow for that situational distinction to be made within buildings, since it is something that we don't want to over structure, I think. So just eliminating where it says focus areas and just simply say the 2 classes need to be distinctly different. However, students can build upon work from one course to the next.
The content of the 2 classes. If you start saying the classes need to be distinctly different, that would not allow them to offer the 2 sections simultaneously. But if the content needs to be different.
Right. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
Okay, can you
put Banks ultimately, but that makes a lot of sense to me.
Okay, we're going to generate some novelists now.
Okay, so maybe parking garage. And then this is.
What do you mean by content in this context.
Well, there she is. Um, the additional rigor and subject matter offered in the class needs to be different than advanced creative writing 1. They need to be doing more advanced work.
Well, that's not really what it's talking about here. It's just saying that if you take advanced creative writing twice, it can't be you retaking the exact same class again. So that's where I think the content being different would, I do think it would serve that purpose. Just to essentially say, if you're going to offer advanced creative writing to the same person twice, they can't do all the exact same tasks. They can't complete the exact same types of writing. They need to be doing it differently the second time. So I do think content accomplishes that. But I think that would be the distinction to be made so that students aren't just taking the exact same class twice and getting 2 credits for it.
I agree. I still see you frowning, Annie. Again, you may have to acquiesce on this.
Oh, sorry. I'm
We beat
not.
down a number of people during their opposition before you got here, so
Oh yeah.
no, you go ahead.
I don't know. I'm just wondering if content is the best word there.
What would you offer as an alternative, Annie?
I don't know. Like he mentioned tasks. I don't know if that, because when I think content, that almost feels like the standards to me. Like when I hear content, maybe that's just me, but to me, content isn't super clear. But if everybody else is like, yeah, it's totally clear, then ignore me.
I'm content with tasks if we feel like that better.
I'm all right with tasks. Yeah, so can we change it that way and see if we have a consensus? Brianna, do we have, oh, Catherine, you're still here. What time do you have to leave? In about 2 minutes?
5, yeah.
Okay.
Is
All
did Miss
Annie.
Singletary come? Yeah, okay, perfect. No, yep, perfect.
And Annie's here now, so
Okay.
we still have our quorum.
Okay, one other note. If the tasks are different, can students still build upon the work from one course to the next, or does the building upon it make it a different task?
I would say so. I mean,
Okay.
I think we would likely use different tasks to build upon a short story that you composed in another course.
Okay, so are we ready to offer language in there now? You already have it?
I do, yeah. I have tasks currently.
All right, are there any objection to that? All right, so let's move on.
Okay, and Miss Winters just put in the chat that she has been here since 4:35 as well. So we have a crew.
Nice to have you with us, Miss Winters.
Oh, welcome. Glad to be here.
Okay. If we are good with that table, then I believe we have looked at the entirety of the supporting language for the elective courses.
That means we're all done with the standards.
It means we are done with we're done with the standards, or well, we're done with the standards barring the parking garage. We are done with the supporting language for electives. We do still have a supporting language, obviously, for the overall document, the overall introduction, importantly, the glossary as well. So I think that would be
well, having been done with the standards, I think that this is a great time for celebration. For those of you that are so inclined, would you like to join me in a verse of "Happy Days Are Here Again"? Thank you all for being so patient with me and each other in this process of getting this done. You have produced a lot of, I would say, very specific, very eloquent language, and I think we can do the same for the rest of it. I just hope it doesn't take any more than the half of this session. But if it does, it does. Let's continue.
Okay.
I think Banks has also joined us if we wanted to put a bow on that table. Banks, I tangentially work with course management, but it sounds like y'all are the experts here. My understanding of our latest question was when I looked up, actually two questions. When I looked up advanced creative writing and course management, it looks like it's one credit offering. And again, I'm not an expert in this area, but our standards said two, and I assume those two things need to align. And I don't know which is the dog and which is the tail here, but would love any thoughts you have. The members were debating, if it's, whether they would, if it's within their purview, their feelings on one credit offering versus two, and if so, sort of how they would differentiate beyond the standards, similar to our compatriots in mythology and genre literature.
So that's a great question. I don't think the credit amount would be within the purview of the committee. I don't want to say that for sure because I'm
That's okay.
honestly not certain. I've just never even considered that, to be honest. But my understanding is that each of these, typically when it comes to electives, it's within it's an LEA decision as to how and when and that sort of thing. But I've never heard of them being more than one credit, one elective credit per course. Of course, unless there's multiple and so forth.
How did the number 2 get in that column then? And then some language explaining the conditions under which a second credit would be preferred.
So can you direct me to it? I'm not exactly sure where it says that.
Great question. So they are revising, this is a snowball document, if you will, so far on the supporting language, but if you go to the current ELA standards,
yeah,
it's right here. So my thought is, wouldn't a school just enroll a student in mythology, let's say they're a freshman, right? And they want to do, I don't know, what was it, Norse mythology, what have you?
Right.
And then the school would just then enroll them the next year when they're a sophomore. Let's say they're, big mythology buff and they want to take Japanese mythology and the district decides to offer it. Great. It's kind of two separate courses. I feel like maybe if I'm understanding you correctly, the most important thing is that could be within the purview of this committee, and you stop me, Banks, fully and with force if I'm misunderstanding, that they could maybe talk about like the distinctions between the genre literature offerings, but maybe not the credit course, because that sort of seems neither here nor there. Am I tracking or am I totally off base?
Yeah, that seems right to me, to be honest. I think, and I see what you're saying now on this as to why it's two, and I think that's exactly right as to whether it would be kind of this specific course and the LEA could decide to have two of those offered. It's pretty, I just don't see it. But that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It just doesn't come up to the state level in terms of our awareness. But I would think that if the committee feels strong about something, they could always suggest something, and then the board either recognizes it or doesn't, I suppose, would be the way that it goes. Is that right, Brianna?
I don't even know that the course catalog is within our purview at the State Board of Education, because it's a rule, a policy, a standard, a guidance document. I just use course management from time to time to answer questions for districts. So,
yeah, and we just kind of do coding here, and at least as far as my position goes, I just kind of help direct LEAs to certain courses and what the proper code is and so forth. We do take some questions, obviously, in terms of like graduation course requirements. And we would simply go to this document to do that. And because most of the time, the focus is the student has to get the core requirements, and then they have to simply meet the elective requirement, in some fashion. But the LEA really determines that as to how the student's going to do that. Yeah.
Well, we created enabling language to allow the students to get 2 credits in that course. Can we keep that?
I think so. I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with Banks. I guess my only thought now, based on what Banks said, is maybe this sentence-based language is the most important thing, because it sounds like ultimately an LEA could potentially enroll a student in visual literacy and build off of it. So that there's specific courses that you think could be retaken and be of value, putting that sentence-based guidance in here would be helpful. Someone please stop me if that doesn't sound right. And if anybody offers any of these courses multiple times over in their school, please let me know. I think we're also, to Banks's point, talking about a very small number of districts, but I do want to get this right in the event there is one. Does anyone work at a high school in which they offer this level of depth on like a genre, literature, mythology, etc. course?
In my experience, we've taught these courses, but it's generally just been teacher discretion. If they have a focus, they kind of just choose it, and students would not repeat the course typically, because they wouldn't have even necessarily signed up for a Norse mythology course. They would have signed up for mythology, and then the teacher would elect to make that a specifically Norse mythology course. But that's just how it's been in my building. I don't know if that's indicative of anything else happening in the district or in the state.
Okay.
That seems to be, from my understanding, how it is pretty standard. So, yeah.
Okay. So are we good to move on?
My proposal, deferring to the committee's ultimate decision making, would be to remove the credit numbers and to just focus on this guidance and then potentially change that table title, knowing that this might not be in our discretion. And I'm happy to follow up with Banks if you have any other thoughts on who might. I mean, I'm obviously happy to sample district leaders and see if they have thoughts, or if there's anyone at TDOE that would be knowledgeable on this.
Yeah, I can elevate this question and see if I can find some more information about it.
Okay.
My only, before I pay attention to class, my only kind of thought on the conversation is whatever it is, it needs to be very clear, because we always run into issues with questions about whether or not students have enough credits, and so to graduate. And so I guess I wouldn't want to see vague language and the student thought they could repeat the class for extra credit and they couldn't. So I guess clarity is my only request.
That makes a lot of sense, Dr. Stout.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to put that on the table for right now till we hear more from the department. Now can we move on?
Is there more for us to hear there? I wasn't sure.
Well, I thought I heard Banks say he was going to run it up the flagpole.
Yes, Banks, would it be fair to say that we could get a hold of said flagpole at 511 Central?
I don't know that.
That's very clear. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. We'll see, because I know I just don't know. Some of those people are in different time zones, and it's yeah. So
okay. So open to thoughts, leadership team and members. We could put this at the bottom of our parking garage and lay this out.
Yeah, go ahead, put it at the bottom, just so we can move on.
Okay.
Now, Quo Vadis. Co-Chair Hilliard, where we're going?
If we're gonna parking lot this table, then I think the next thing we should do is take a look at the supporting language for the overall document. Specifically, I don't believe we looked at the language of the official introduction to the overall document.
Okay.
I would also say we're going to be with this document for outside of this table, essentially the remainder of the well, not necessarily the remainder because we're going to return to the parking garage, but we're going to be there for a while. And since we all have the ability to propose edits here because we're just tracking changes, I do think it would be best if everyone was able to pull up that document just so, because when we get to the glossary in particular, I think it's going to expedite the process quite a bit if we're all able to make those proposed changes rather than kind of running everything through me as a funnel. Ms. Summers, did you just drop the link to the document in the chat?
I did. One quick note, are any of the parking garage items substantial enough to change any of the intro language?
Do you feel like it would be better to do the parking garage now rather than going to the sporting language, Miss Summers?
Only if there's like substantive decisions on the table that would impact the language. I'm looking, it seems mostly glossary in nature, but are any of them jumping out at folks as they look through them? I would just hate for you to have to revise parking garage, revise again. We might be good. Like with this one, this text structures, would that change anything about the reading introduction, for example? No is a perfectly appropriate answer.
Don't think so. I think we had a conversation about what text structures to include within the reading standards, but I don't think that would necessarily appear within the overall introduction.
Okay. Going once, going twice. Ignore me. Okay, keep on keeping on. And it is in the chat for everyone to jump in, and it seems like a fair bit of us are here. But if you have tech questions, please let me know. But just as a reminder, you should be in suggesting mode. And let's say you hated this word, you would just delete it. If it's substantial, you would tell me it's not needed in this comment and then just press reply. If you are making a correction, don't worry about the comment. I'll know that you're making a correction.
Did you say go paragraph by paragraph?
Go ahead.
Yeah, we've done this differently, so I was gonna ask what the committee preferred. At moments we've kind of gone piece by piece and done it collectively, and then at other times we've just kind of set aside X number of minutes to let everybody silently read it and propose any edits, and then we take a look after that time period has elapsed at what people have come up with. I'm open to either way of doing it, but we've done both.
What's your pleasure, folks? Annie, you want to read the whole document and then make changes, or you want to go paragraph by paragraph?
I don't think it would be the entire document. I think we'd probably just start with like the first 2 pages and then convene, and then maybe look at the table of contents and convene, look at the next piece, convene, kind of chunk it a little bit, but
Or where do you
not chunking it to the level we've done elsewhere where we're going.
Can you propose some chunks just so we can write that down?
Yeah, I mean, I think we would start with pages 1 and 2.
Okay.
The overall introduction, and then that introduction spills into the second page, and then there's a figure on the second page as well.
Okay. So hearing no objections, we're going to go take a look at page 1 and 2. If you have recommendations, be ready to do that. Do you want them to write them on the document, or do you want them to write them and then announce them when we reconvene?
I think write the suggested change on the document, and then when we reconvene, we can we're going to see people's changes on there, so we can kind of, if we have any disputes or discrepancies or debates, we can have those. But I think probably just leave the comments as we see fit as we go through. I know Dr. Stout has done so, and Ms. Baird has done so already, so we could just simply add to what has already been done there and then convene and talk about the overall thoughts.
All right. So be it. So we'll take, what do we need? About 10 minutes for this first walkthrough, and then after that, we're going to do supper. 10 minutes? Is that enough time?
Do we want to do 10 minutes to read it and leave comments, and then we come back together and discuss?
Yes,
for X number of
yes,
minutes?
that was my proposal.
Okay, that's fine with me.
Okay, 10 minutes, starting now. And Brianna, can you just make it bigger there? Or I can go to my other sub document. Thanks.
If anyone's have any tech questions, feel free to call me on my cell phone, and I'm happy to walk you through that.
We have 2 minutes left for reflection and revision. Okay, let's get back at it. Where are our revisions? There were a number of great suggestions in there.
Annie, I noticed you had made a couple comments that suggested that we might want to take a look at some individual places if you'd like to draw attention to those.
Sure. Let me pull it back up. Let's see. It just feels odd to me that we mentioned two models, the simple view of reading and Scarborough's reading rope, but then Scarborough's reading rope is given its own paragraph. We don't mention simple view of reading at all after that, unless I missed something.
I had the same problem.
And then I might be being nitpicky here, but I never really like a this without something like a noun beside it, for clarity.
Yeah, I agreed on the this for sure. I also think, I mean, I think we're referring to the standards right there, right? I mean, these standards provide students with the tools they need to become confident, capable, and literate members of society, is my understanding of what we're implying there.
Absolutely.
So would we just want to change the language to these standards provide?
Right.
Does that feel more appropriate, Ms. Dockery?
Yeah.
Right. At the end of that sentence, again, I wanted to start to wax poetic again, according to David Didow, but I would like to add literate members of society and invites them to take their place in a wider world. I mean, it kind of takes us from the common here and goes much further on what else, kids having their own vision of what things look like after they've accomplished these standards. Uh, just an idea. I don't know if you like that or not.
Would Chair, do you have the document pulled up to propose
Yeah.
that edit?
Yeah, it would just be at the end. It would be, and invites, it says, all students' tools, they need to become confident, capable, and literate members of society. And invites them to take their place in a wider world. I don't know if that means anything to anybody, but it's rung with me. And if that doesn't ring with anybody, forget it.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're gesturing at. I do think that they need to become confident, capable, and literate members of society. I think that language about members of society is kind of gesturing at the same notion.
Okay. I'm good with that.
Okay.
I'm good with that. Yep. All right. Let's move on.
Well, we still haven't had a conversation about Miss Dockery's suggestion about the simple view of reading.
Oh, yes. Well, that's where I wanted to go to. Yeah, unless we wanted to eliminate the figure, for Scarborough's reading rope because I
No,
mean,
you can't. I don't think you can because everything else from there forward is the reading rope.
Yeah, we
okay,
talk about that reading rope a lot, so
all right.
yeah,
A
we definitely wouldn't
lot.
want to do that. I think the options here would be either to add some language about the simple view of reading, or simply to eliminate the reference to the simple view of reading. Or we could just simply maintain it as is, and which I see what Ms. Dockery is talking about, to mention it alongside something that we then spend a lot of time discussing when this only gets a passing reference does seem a bit odd.
Right. Brianna, is there anything that you might add? Can we just kind of put this in a little holding pen until maybe you guys have some research for us that might be equivalent to how we describe the reading rope?
I want to make sure I understand the question. I was trying to get to the bottom of your course management system, which we do have next steps on, but I did want to flag for y'all I might not be able to get to the bottom too.
Something that would describe briefly the model of simple view of reading by Gowen Turner.
Got it. Okay. My guidance here would be that members should put their, oh, here we go. Something in the chat. Members should put their feedback in the comments, and the respective leadership teams will do their best to and rectify and finalize and copy edit and stuff like that. So I think it could be appropriate for Ms. Dockery to put a comment like, and maybe she already has, to speak to like, oh, can this be fleshed out further? And then we can finalize on the back end.
And I guess from my perspective, sort of like Annie's, it's a case of you talk about multiple models and you highlight two, and then you wax poetic for the rest of everything against Scarborough's. And so I get that I get they wanted to say there are multiple models, but it's almost like the only one we pay any attention to is Scarborough's reading rope.
I can add a little bit to the conversation. I was not there when this was being formulated, but I do know that the simple view of reading, I just put a bunch of language in there. It is in fact simple. It's supposed to be just a mathematic equation that shows that, decoding and language comprehension equal reading comprehension. And then the Scarborough's rope broke that down into further sort of strands. So they're kind of dependent upon each other. And I think that's probably the assumption that the writers were making, is that others understood that. But I can understand what you all are saying, that not everybody will know that. And so that could need some explanation, or it could be taken out.
I mean, it's a well-known model. I agree. So but I see the point. Could we not just include the simple view of reading model alongside Scarborough's rope? And then we have what is proving our research-based strategies that we're then supporting in the standards documents.
Right. So let's just have a small, a brief explanation. You put it really brief, but there might be something that's more detailed, and then connects us to Scarborough. If you say that there's that they're dependent upon each other.
And really, the paragraph probably isn't that bad where a simple view of reading is just called out. It just leaves you wondering that, I mean, why we chose to base everything else, it appears, on the Scarborough's reading rope. There's just a gap. A one sentence may be, for purposes of this set of standards, we follow Scarborough's, or we I don't know if follow is the right word, but that it just puts something to say, oh, by the way, everything else is about Scarborough from here on.
Right. I had the same question 3 weeks ago, so I'm glad that somebody else questioned this. Is there anything else that we want to put and notate for our further cleanup by the leadership team?
I have a couple of things.
Yeah.
One, now that we've discussed that, the two sentences thereafter are a bit repetitive to me. highlight the interconnectedness of decoding skills and language comprehension and developing proficient readers. These models show that reading comprehension depends on the interaction between decoding skills and language comprehension. Seems kind of, to me, two ways to say the same thing. So, but I didn't want to eliminate it or suggest an elimination without discussing it with the committee.
That makes sense to me too.
I would agree.
Yes.
I see the same thing. The first paragraph is like it's repeated over again.
Okay.
Right.
Decoding skills, and then the last sentence also states decoding skills and language comprehension.
So let's mark that we're going to eliminate that. Next, other questions?
My other question was about the a little bit above that. When we were introducing the developmental stages, the standards are thoughtfully designed to align with students' developmental stages of what exactly? Because those are our grade bands. So are we saying developmental stages of, I was commenting and then I stopped. Hang on, let me find my comment. Where's my comment?
Is it students stages of development?
Well, student developmental stages of
Learning.
Mastery of English language arts. I don't know. Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask the committee.
So you want further definition there?
It
Okay.
seems like it's left hanging to me. Yes.
All right. Well, we can wordsmith that. So your concern is duly noted. And as Brianna said, we're going to work that out. We'll wordsmith it. Anything else up to the table of contents?
Should that wordsmithing happen now, since it's just wordsmithing? I understand with the research, but I think for the wordsmithing, perhaps now would be the time to do that wordsmithing.
All right, I'm good with that. I just following up on Brianna's suggestion.
Yeah, I would say if the committee is not in agreement on the recommendation or has a specific proposal, that would be worthy of discussion. If it's sort of an instruction, then that would maybe take more time since the leadership team is finalizing. So I would just encourage you, if you see a comment that you do not agree with or would like to build on or have really specific instructions, to, name that here. So for example, like Miss Baird, I believe, agreed with Miss Dockery on something. It could be helpful for Miss Baird to just add that to the comment of like, yes, I agree, so that it's clear that those are instructions to the leadership team.
I'm fine then to try to wordsmith your
I think what she did's good.
Yeah, I like what Miss Now has written. So
okay, and I'm good with it too. Let's keep it. Thank you, Miss Now. All right, now did 10 minutes suffice for reflection as we go through this, or was it too long? Can we do it in 5 minutes? I'm just looking for a number here.
I think it will likely vary depending on what section of the document we're looking at.
Okay, what's the next section of the document we're looking at?
Next up would be, at least chronologically, would be table of contents. I would recommend we wait on table of contents until the end, since there will be lots of shifting and moving parts. So I would recommend we end with the table of contents. If so, then we would move on to, and I do think this is worthy of definitely some attention. Page 4 has some brief notes on coding, but most importantly, we have the note on terms, where they explained what EG such as and including meant. Obviously, we have chose to go with EG and specifically, so we'll definitely need to take a look at that language and ensure that it mimics what we have done, to make it very clear what we intended by EG and what we intended by specifically.
All right, page 4. And what's the next bite of the apple we want? Page 4?
That would be my recommendation.
Just page 4. So that'd be
immediately after page 4, we get to the foundational literacy standards, which we've already looked at.
Okay, page 4 should take 5 minutes. And we'll do that in 5 minutes after we've had supper. And it is now 5:40. I want to declare a supper recess until 6 p.m. All right? It's time to eat. We'll see you back here at 6 o'clock.
Thank you, Chair. Call me if you need me, y'all.
All right.
Chair, can I guess, do you happen to be there? It's totally fine if you stepped away.
Okay, now clock cover before we do.
Hey, y'all, quick note, leadership team. I don't know that we're going to totally get to the bottom of the final column on the elective standards. So, in the event that we don't get it, just because it's after business hours for most of the department, when speaking, I was thinking y'all could just give us instructions that if this, then the, in the event we're finishing today, you can just give me instructions. If this, then do this. If not this, then do this. That way I can, you know, fully achieve y'all's vision and we can keep moving forward. But of course, if we have another meeting, then we'll just give you the update at the next meeting.
Yep. I don't want to eliminate the possibility of us finishing. Obviously, I think it's not completely out of the realm of possibility, but I think most likely, I don't know if we'll need a full meeting on Thursday, but I think we might need a little bit. So I think that would also likely be an opportunity then. But I mean, obviously, if we can get done, I would be thrilled to be done.
Yeah,
All
I'm just
right.
trying to keep good positive energy in the universe, but I agree with you, Vice Chair Hilliard. I cannot meet on Thursdays. I misspoke. I have a dental appointment to do a filling that got moved. So I cannot do Thursday, but I will work with y'all to reschedule.
Well, as long as we're talking about it, so Thursday doesn't work. Next Tuesday, is that in possibility?
Tuesday generally works for folks with the, I'm good with Tuesday. I would just,
The 21st.
mhm.
Anybody got a problem with that? Well, let's look at that then.
Yeah.
Tuesday, the 21st of October.
I don't know if we
3:30.
have everyone back would be my only flag, but I can certainly send it out as a calendar hold and ask folks to let me know if that does not work.
Well, let's see how fast we can fly. And I'm with you. I don't know that we're going to do it because we just don't like to rush through this. We just have so much to consider, and we're doing such a good job. We don't want to pick our heads up too fast. So, what did we find out? Did anybody do some homework on that page 4 and have some revisions recommended?
I have not personally looked closely at it yet.
We got 5 minutes right now to take a look at that. And Dr. Stout, are you playing hooky or are you with us? I think she just
I think
left
she
her,
said she needs to be in class, so I don't know that.
but she left her computer on. Okay.
Did I hear correctly that we're canceling the meeting this week on Thursday?
Good question, Ms. Dockery. Hopefully I sent this out via email. Let me know if not. I have a dentist appointment that I could not move at 3:30
Okay.
on Thursday. So we're looking at Tuesday in the event we need to meet again this coming Tuesday.
And we would not want to proceed without you, Brianna.
I appreciate it.
All right, who's the first one to recommend? No, you got 4 more minutes left. Two minutes and counting. All right, let's hear your comments or see them. Tell us about your recommended revisions. First up is
Chair, I think if we want to have a whole conversation on the note on terms section, I think we could do that as a whole group, but otherwise I don't think we've had the chance to all look through that and recommend edits there. I was kind of in the process of doing so, but I don't. This certainly still needs.
take another couple minutes, and if you're done, yell out, "Hey, I'm done."
Okay. If other folks would like to look as well, I'm working on the EG section, but we will need to add something for specifically. So if anyone wants to kind of mirror what I'm doing for EG,
I'm working on specifically.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, who's ready?
I have drafted something for EG.
Let's take a look at that. And if anybody has any comments, speak now. Well stated. It's in keeping with the way we've done things all along. Okay, such as is good in the way it sits.
Should we eliminate such as? I don't believe we've been intentional about the use of such as. To me, this list should likely just be EG specifically. Those are the only two phrases we've been very intentional about having them mean something very specific.
Okay, let's eliminate them.
Do others agree there, or I'm speaking out of turn?
I can double check this one while you're discussing. 7 or LKID.
I know we've used instances of such as and include. I know we've said including. I don't know about such as, but I know we've used including elsewhere. But I don't think it's been something we've been intentional to indicate that this means something very specific in this particular instance. Whereas
if we've used it, we should keep that in there. But if we've never used such as,
right, I think the only distinction is that I think in the previous iteration they were doing something very intentional with such as and with including, but I think we have not been so intentional about how such as and including are being used. I think.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I just was simply saying, I think the only two that I mean, at least in my experience, the only two we've really returned to over and over again is such as and specifically, as those being very specific meanings in very specific instances.
Yeah, I've looked through 7 instances in the reading standards alone, and you've moved every such as to EG so far. I can let you know if that changes.
Yeah, I think we were pretty intentional about eliminating such as's. I do think there are instances, like I said, I know in the elective standards we had instances where we kept including, but mostly that was just because it fit the grammar of the sentence, not because we were using it to introduce a list. I mean, my proposal would be that we just have the terms EG and specifically, since those have been the two that we've been very intentional about. But if others disagree, I don't want to die on that hill.
Well, if
I would agree.
I don't know. I think as a teacher, I would question though, if the intention behind the standard was to mean one thing with EG and another with specifically, then I would question what the meaning behind including would be. Does that make sense? So
it does.
I think I agree with maybe eliminating such as, if we did not in fact use that, which I don't know that we did. I did a quick search myself, but I didn't do it exhaustively. And then, but including we have used, so I feel like we should keep that.
Okay.
I agree with you.
Okay.
Do you recommend any further clarification if we include the word including? Does that specify how we have used it?
We'll certainly need to include, we'll need to change the example because I don't know if we even still have that exact language. We'll have to, well, at least we'll have to verify to include that standard is still as it is written.
Agreed.
I also just, to me personally, I don't know if we've been intentional about what including means. That's my only anxiety there is I don't know if we know exactly what we mean by including.
I thought it was an inexhaustive list of possibilities, but that's also what you meant in EG, right?
Well, EG can mean, I almost said specifically, but not, EG can mean examples of a concept. Should I say that without saying specific concept? But including can mean a list, including that concept and also. That's the way I interpret it. Including that concept and also XYZ.
Okay.
But I mean, as the definition says, I thought the definition was fine.
I did too. So are we wanting to do the example now, or are we going to put that on hold until we can do it later?
I see no reason not to do it now. Well, I'm sorry, I interrupted someone.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I think if we're going to maintain that language, we should go ahead and find the example we're going to use now of including, so we can go ahead and put this table behind us.
Okay.
How about RLKID2 with prompting and support orally retell familiar stories, including key details? No, that's the original standard. Never mind. I'm sorry. Ignore me. Hang on.
I found its corresponding standard, it looks like, but it's extremely long. So
We
I
don't
know if you
want
want
we don't want a long one. Not here. Are you doing a search with the word including?
I am. Reading standards are normally shorter, right?
Yes.
That's where I am too.
I think like 6 RLCS4 reads analyze the impact of author's specific word choice on meaning and tone, including figurative language such as repetition, simile, metaphor, personification, and hyperbole.
Such as.
Yeah, I guess that is the word such as. But oh, that's the original standard. Never mind. We got rid of such as.
Okay. All right.
My
See,
bad.
I know when you do the search, those little green boxes, they
Mhm.
make you throw you off.
It looks like we have it. I hope I'm looking at the right thing, but for 6.L.CAE.2, the second sentence is when reading or writing, demonstrate understanding of the function of commas, including combining clauses. It says revised standard.
Yeah, that would be. Can you copy and paste that language over to the chart?
Yes. You said onto the chart?
Yes.
Yes.
I think an issue I have this language as like an educator seems very vague. It may have some importance. So my question is like, well, is it important or not? Is it going to be on the test or not? That language just feels vague to me. Like it feels like including to me in my mind should be, I guess, the same definition of specifically, unless we have an instance where that doesn't fit.
This is my worry about including, because I think I don't know. I just don't know if we were that intentional about including. I think there are instances where it functions kind of like how we did specifically, and there are instances in which it kind of functions like how we used EG.
My understanding, okay, maybe this helps. My understanding of how we used including in this standard was that they have to demonstrate their knowledge of and understanding of the functions of commas, including combining clauses, but that is not the only function of a comma. And yet we want to emphasize at that grade level in that standard that they should be using commas to combine clauses.
That makes sense.
Should our definition say indicates that something mentioned is part of the group and its importance is emphasized or something along that line? Y'all can help me revise that.
Yeah, I think that is better, I think. Should we include some language about, but it's not intended to indicate the totality of, that's not good language, but something along the lines of to suggest that is not meant to be the entirety of the examples that we're looking at.
Part of the group, not the entirety of the group. Would that work? And then say, and its importance is emphasized. I don't know. You could put in parens, not the total group or something. There you go. Yeah.
I like that. Does that tell the tale to the teachers? Teachers?
Um,
Who's
correct me
like-
if I'm
Apostrophe S, well, maybe I'm wrong. IT
I'm
is
sorry?
apostrophe S or ITS? I'm just group and its important is emphasized. We put apostrophe S or I'm sorry, never mind. I see.
so I typically think you're like when you're reading something with parentheses, if it doesn't make sense without the parentheses. So it indicates that something mentioned is part of group and its importance is emphasized.
Oh, sorry, I was
group-
moving. Very. Sorry. Here, let's do this. Yeah, I don't like that. Okay. Let's indicate
It's
that something
okay.
mentions.
You could
Okay.
say not the total group. It's okay
Mhm.
to say group twice. Then it would be very obvious what we intended. It's part of the
Right.
group,
And
not the total group. And
My only concern then at that point is I think the antecedent of it's becomes a little ambiguous. Is it I mean, I know that it's indicating that the something is the antecedent for it, but it seems like perhaps it
Yeah.
could be group.
Okay.
Indicate something becomes part of the group and not the whole group.
I get the antecedent connection.
And it's important to emphasize. Yeah. That's better. Now I see what it does make sense now.
Do we have a consensus on that? Lucas, you working on something?
I'm not working on anything at the
Okay.
moment. I'm just looking at it, but I do feel I think it's been improved. I still feel a little uneasy about that end, and its importance is emphasized. I think the
What-
idea is good. I just worry a little bit about
what if we took out the comma and the and put parens around, not the whole group, and then then I think it would rewrite. It's part of the group. By the way, not the whole group, right? And its importance. Then the its doesn't stand out as
Yeah.
weird.
I that's better.
He's part of the group. Should we maybe? I'm sorry. I wonder if we need to move emphasized earlier in the sentence, like some like indicates that something mentioned is emphasized, maybe apart from a larger group or as part of a larger group.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just
Is an emphasized part of a larger group?
say that again.
Something along the lines indicates that something is an emphasized part of a larger group, but not
Yeah.
the whole group.
What if we could
There you
just
go.
say emphasizes the importance of something as part of a group?
That works too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, well, we got including in there. We've included it.
We will need to rewrite the interpretation because it's still about writing letters from memory.
Oh,
And our including currently is about combining clauses.
Lacey now is hard to work on that.
Yes, she is.
I don't know, something along that line.
That says it. Everybody like that?
Is it a but or an and? And must show. Or and must,
But must also show.
yeah. Show how to correctly combine clauses using commas.
Yes.
Show particular attention. There you go.
Yes, nice. Okay, are we good with this now? All right, so we've got,
I don't know that I feel like we need to figure out some way to show that emphasis, because I feel like as it's written now with the revisions, we no longer have an emphasis.
That. Go ahead.
Should the but be an and must show? So you do the one, demonstrate correct usage, and must show how to correctly combine clauses.
does that give you the emphasis, Annie?
I don't know that conveys it. Would it be appropriate here to maybe include something by the teacher, but the teacher should particularly emphasize students' instruction on correctly combining clauses using commas?
Yeah.
I just feel like as it's currently, it doesn't show the actual emphasis.
Yeah, something like students must demonstrate correct usage of commas generally, but should focus particularly on correctly combining clauses using commas. I don't know. I don't know if that's exactly right.
All right, from the teacher standpoint.
I don't know, but I'm a little worried about teacher because we've been intentional about
Yeah.
using student language.
Yeah.
But maybe the student should emphasize correctly
Right.
combining clauses
Yes.
using commas.
That's got the emphasis. You good with that, Annie?
Shouldn't it say combining rather than combine?
Yes, thank you.
Sorry, you guys couldn't hear that. It feels weird to me to say that students should be emphasizing something.
Agreed.
Generally, with particular attention to correctly combining clauses, or
That's why I had included that language, because I didn't know how else to word that.
am I just rewriting what you said to begin with? Is that what I just did?
It's okay. I am sure that Co-Chair Hilliard does not know what that feels like throughout this process. From all of us.
Are we good with that now? All right.
I'm good with that. I think it sounds good.
Annie's good. And Lacey, of course, has been a primary author for that section.
Do we feel good about what I rewrote for EG and what Lacey rewrote for specifically, or wrote for specifically?
I'm hoping that there is a typo for Miss Now.
I'm sure there is.
Because otherwise I think we might have a standard issue. Sorry, I keep not getting the right window open. Oh my gosh.
While you're opening that, so I did see your comment earlier about wanting to use a shorter standard for that example, but I started looking and I for the life of me did not see a shorter standard where we had used that language specifically, because it always had to do with something that was very intentional and a long list of things. And so I condensed that standard to just provide that the parent standard and then letter C. So,
I do think we would need to include, well, never mind. No, I was going to say we should include, what we could do is typically, because if you look at the If you look at the previous example for EG, it just said f.fl.sc.6a, and it left off the parent standard entirely and just included the substandard.
Okay.
So perhaps we could just include the substandard if we include the letter C after the 3.
I'm also fine with the way it's written now, if you're trying to accommodate that. I just when she initially had it written down, I was like, whoa, that's a lot to read. But so it's that end part where it says and relevant conclusion. I'm hoping that just didn't get deleted.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Because I was like, I hope we don't have to revise that standard. I didn't catch that.
All right, so are we good with this now? And we've taken out such as, so there's no mention of that now.
Is this W needed? Wouldn't it start with the grade level?
Yes. I think so.
Okay, are we ready to go on to page 6?
I did have one quick thing. Up on notes on coding above this table, we have in a few cases a letter might also be used to delineate subsections. I think we've been referring to that as substandards. Would we want to just use the language substandards there rather than subsections?
Yes, we were pretty intentional about that, I think.
Okay, that was all I had.
Okay.
Vice Chair Hilliard, one question. Don't we have a standard that sort of breaks out very intentionally? I believe it's like 6A, 6B, 6C. Would that still be a substandard if it's in the code versus in the body? Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're right.
I'm trying to think of an example.
Do you have I can't recall what instance that is. I think we only have perhaps.
I think it's one of
It's
them.
in the foundational literacy. That's where it is.
Okay.
It's standard 6 in foundational literacy is the one that does that.
Yeah, I'm fine with whatever you'll want to call it, and yes, encourage you to put it in the document. What is this versus what is this, from my understanding?
We did maintain the same cornerstone for all of those. But I mean, subsection versus substandard, I don't feel that strong of a preference. It doesn't really matter what language we used. I was just saying substandard because we've used the language substandard pretty consistently throughout this process, and I think that's what most educators use.
Oh, yes, I like your edit. My question is, what do you call 6A?
I suppose, I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I didn't love that in the first place. But obviously, I think we're going to stick with it, but
Okay.
It's not really a substandard anymore, you're right, because they have different parent standards. So
Okay, so this still, I guess that language is still true with substandard. Let me go back and read it.
Are we good?
A letter might be, maybe if we just put an example, then it'll be clear. I don't know.
You want us to come up with an example now?
Oh, I just mean like right here, for example.
I mean, if you look at foundational literacy 34, for instance, row 34, that one is 2.fl.va.6a. But then even within 6a, it has substandards. So that is, I don't know. That, I guess technically, what would be the code for that standard?
Well, I guess that's the standard number, 6A. I think we're good.
What is the coding system for a substandard? Because I know historically it's been you don't add a period before the substandard. You would just go straight into 6A or 6B or 6C. But if in that instance, if we were going to refer to only substandard A of 2.fl.va.6a, it would be 2.fl.va.6a. It would be a repeated A back to back, which would look a little strange.
Right. It doesn't look like that we standardized it on the state level, if y'all would like to. So you could add.
Yeah, I mean, I think we would need to add a period there. Lacey, I had deleted your period below, but I think it should come back, so I'll add that back.
Oh, I see. Okay. So the period means that it's a substandard and the lack of period means that it's part of the standard number. That makes sense. Okay, I think we're good.
Now are we good? Can we move on to page 6? Or have we done?
We've
Oh,
done page 6.
I
We've
thought so.
done 6 through 14. Next up would be something we're going to spend quite a bit of time on, which is the glossary.
All right.
Have we
And
looked at all of the supporting intros? Hold on. I thought there was one on the parking garage.
all right.
Looks like we need to finalize the language one. No preference on what order we do that. If y'all want to jump into the glossary, that's cool with me. Looks like we might want to do some stuff with speaking and listening.
What is the
issue?
So in the parking garage where it says to finalize language intro, it just says TBD. Does anyone have any recollection of what exactly we wanted to finalize about the language intro?
Sorry, I'm talking. That would had to do with, we were waiting on an update about the pronoun standards and TCAP data.
Yes, I think if I recall correctly, someone jump in. I think Miss Dockery maybe had a question about like, would there be an impact on the standards? And I think the answer was we couldn't get to that level of granularity since that is so specific and the test wouldn't have a good enough representative data. I'd have to look back how that impacted the intro. So I think the update was like not enough for representative enough data, unfortunately. And then SNL speaking and listening just says C notes, and then it talks about something about blending.
That was about circling back to wording about linking standards.
Okay, cool.
I think we're complete on both of the language standard intro, as far as the parking garage goes.
Yeah, I
And,
agree.
and then the speaking and listening standards. Have we resolved the linking standards conversation? I think.
Yeah, my understanding was we were going to push linking standards onto the standards guide. Was
Okay.
my understanding of the decision we'd reached, but I know that was a topic of quite a bit of conversation, so we could continue that if we wished.
I think maybe we can, if everyone's good with that, we can just strengthen this language to say, request to add linking standards to standards guides.
Okay. I'm good with that.
So I just want to make sure. So are we working through the parking garage right now, or are we working on the glossary, or are we just in like a back and?
We're getting ready to go to the glossary until we finish this conversation right now.
Yeah, we were moving through the section introductions, and just making sure we had addressed everything on the everything on the parking garage that was pertinent to those specific sections.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm okay if y'all want to go in a different order. I think someone just said that they were done, so I just want to confirm that we can check those things off.
Yes.
Can I mention one thing though while we're in the parking garage? Because I believe there is something that we had discussed, and I remember Tammy had specifically mentioned as well, but it was in the speaking and listening standards. It's that very first one, KSLCC1, and we only have an A still. And I think we had intended to circle back to that to discuss adding a B, but we never did.
Okay, let's look up the standard.
Yeah. You're saying you want to add it to the parking garage, Lacey?
Yes, potentially, since we are in the parking garage right now, excuse me. Yes. But I still see that in the revised standard, we still only have an A currently.
That is correct.
How does it read?
Currently reads, participate with varied peers and adults in collaborative conversations in small or large groups about kindergarten topics. Substandard A, demonstrate appropriate conversational interactions, including taking turns, listening, speaking, answering questions, and allowing wait time. I don't really see why we couldn't just combine that into
Just
one
put
thing.
an and.
Just,
Yeah.
or just not
Agreed.
even, it doesn't even have to have an and. It could be a semicolon. It could be just, yeah, I mean,
Yeah. Semicolon is good with me. So can you put what that looks like and then we'll resolve that?
it just did.
Thank you.
It hasn't refreshed yet on your screen, I don't think, for some reason. But
Is everybody good just adding a semicolon and getting rid of the A?
Agree.
All right, let's go. Next.
so are we done with the parking garage for now? Are we gonna return to that later? Is that what
Yeah.
I'm understanding?
I feel a lot of energy wanting to be dedicated to the glossary right now. So I have a question though, just looking over the glossary. A lot of these words we didn't talk about in the standards. Why are we talking about them in the glossary?
It's a good
I-
question. Oh, go ahead, Mr.
No,
Hilliard.
I was just gonna say I've had the same question. There are quite a few words. I think there are words even that are in the glossary that are not even in the standards themselves.
No, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yes. I do know, and I think Nicole's on the call, so Nicole, please jump in. My understanding is that they did a lot of work to cut down on words, and your predecessors have cut down on the glossary up until this point, and their intention was to only have words that are in the standards in the glossary and not go beyond that. You can build on that decision, reverse that decision, align
Wow.
on that, but that was their intention, and I do remember them removing a fair bit of words during their discussions. But
If
one last
that
piece.
if that's true, we're going to lose half these words, I bet. You could probably do a search while we're going through these and see if they're included and let us know.
Yes, I'm happy to. If somebody wants to split up, I know you can't do it by, well, Google or Sheets is a little bit more powerful than Google Docs, I believe. Hold on, let me see if I think you can only search across. Oh, here we go. I can do all sheets. So I think this will help. So, but if someone can do this faster than me, I'm totally fine with that. Other thing I wanted to flag is in your folders, there's the standards guides. They have a glossary. So if you wanted to pull from any of that information, that's totally fair game. And in fact, it could be strong to align those where it makes sense on y'all's end. And two, you're welcome to, I've gotten questions from folks, you're welcome to use existing definitions from other places, whether it's, Merriam-Webster, any reputable sources that you would, of course, allow your students to use. That's totally fine, especially so that we're not like wordsmithing down to the period of a definition that may be out there and could save y'all some time. I just ask that you cite it in the references.
Okay, so while you're doing that, can we all look over this for like 10 minutes for the page 15 through 17? That would be A through D, and see if there's anything that stands out that we think is in the standards that we want to change. Is that a workable way to put this together? All right.
I think so. I think I don't know exactly how to sequence this. I'm a little conflicted myself, but I think what we have to know is what is currently not in the glossary that needs to be there. I think we need to have a list of that, and we need to have a list of what's currently in the glossary that doesn't need to be there, and then we need to have a list of what is currently in the glossary and needs to be there but needs to be tweaked in its wording.
Well, yes, but it's going to take a while for us to get those that we're going to eliminate. So I was just suggesting that we walk through having the background knowledge of our work with the standards and just look at those items we think are going to be in the standards. If we have any problem with them or we want to recommend any change in the way that they're defined in the glossary, then we write that in there. But let's just walk through it one piece at a time or several pages at a time. Let's just go through A through D right now, which is page 15 through 17. Does that work for everybody? Let's try it this time for 10 minutes and see what we come up with. And in the meantime, Brianna's doing her walk through each of these words, A through D, that are going to be eliminated. Okay? Set? All right, let's walk. 15 through 17, 10 minutes. 6:56.
Members, a red highlight means that I can't find it, but please correct me. And I'm looking to make sure that it's only in a revised standard. So based on my read, aesthetic impact was in some older standards, but it appears that y'all have taken it out thoroughly.
Mm-hmm.
So please check me though.
Brianna, did you put the red marks on those? Who's got their red crayon out?
She's marking them in the names in red.
Okay, so Brianna did that. Okay.
See your glossary.
But I was surprised to see you put red on allegory and analogy. We got 2 minutes left. You need more time than that?
I will definitely need more time than that. I'm looking at the parking garage at the recommended words we wanted to add, and so I'm kind of working through getting
Okay.
those over there. But I think it's gonna take me a few more minutes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I just want to clarify, the red ones are the one, I know this was just said, but just so I can confirm, the red highlighted words are the words that are not there. Is that right?
That is my understanding.
Okay, well, then I found active voice and it's in our language standards. It's just listed as active and passive voice.
Yeah, that should be in there. Allegory is not in our standards? An analogy? I'm questioning.
I've looked for it and I don't see it.
Okay. Author's choice? Are you sure? Boy, I sure recall those words.
We've discussed author's purpose. I don't think we've discussed author's choice.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
But I know active voice is there.
Do we need to put author's purpose in here?
Probably.
You said probably?
Yes.
Okay. Can you add that? Somebody added some stuff in there.
I
Let's
noticed
see,
there's quite a bit of italics are used a lot. Are those words that are also in the glossary? Is that what the italics are for?
I think it means different things in different instances as currently written.
I agree. So it could be helpful for y'all to decide how you want to handle that and maybe put it up at the top, because I think your predecessors put sort of a purpose statement at the beginning. So you could obviously, or you could give any sort of guidance that you'd like.
.2 minutes to discussion. I like that we had a glossary definition for acknowledge and address.
Yeah, that was something that was in our parking garage.
Okay, it's 7 o'clock. Let's see how we can get through this first A through D discussion. And just take them one at a time. If we got any changes, let us know. I see one for academic conversation, eliminating that is. I'm assuming we're going to move ahead with this unless there's some objections. Academic dishonesty, I don't remember talking about that. We did talk about plagiarism.
We talked about ethical and responsible use, or digital tools. So it may be worth conversation later on. I hate to define academic dishonesty because we didn't use that term, did we?
And we sure didn't. And that's more
No.
of a it's in the student code of conduct, you know?
Right. That's a school level definition to me.
I suggest we eliminate that. If we have to do plagiarism or ethical, maybe we need to address that then.
We do use it. I'm currently trying to find it. I did a find and replace search and it is there. I'm trying to find it within the very long standard that it's flagging as.
Okay, well, I'm surprised, but if it's in there,
Yeah,
it's
it says
in there.
format writing and cite sources using a style guide, avoid plagiarism and academic dishonesty through proper citations and attribution of sources.
Okay, thank you, sir. So does this pretty well describe what we're talking about? Yep, unauthorized use of AI. That sounds good to me. All right.
I know we'd had some conversation, and I don't feel strongly one way or the other, but we'd had some conversation about the fact that this glossary frequently uses the term in its own definition, and I can see that happening right here with academic dishonesty. I don't know if that's something we are bothered by or not, but I know someone brought that up at some point. I'm just recalling someone making that contribution at some point that they didn't like that we do that throughout the glossary, but just flagging that since it's happening here with academic dishonesty. I don't feel really strongly one way or the other about it. I just
if you don't feel strongly about it, let's let it roll.
The only thing is, this feels kind of, that last sentence feels kind of odd to me because it's not really defining it. It's giving the effect of it. Are we wanting to give impacts and effects in our glossary?
I think you're correct. Let's eliminate that last sentence. You're very correct. What it says is true, but it's not part of a glossary. It's not defining what the word means. Okay, thanks for redlining. Active voice, we've got that.
Going back to academic dishonesty, could we at least eliminate the word your? I don't like that. Attempting to present another person's work as your own.
As their own?
Your.
Should it read as one's own or
one's own?
One's own.
Would be better.
Okay. Yep, you're right. Thank you. Okay, we're good with academic dishonesty? Speak now or forever hold your peace. All right, active voice.
I wanted to mention we use the term academic English quite a bit. I feel like that could be a good one to define.
It's in the, yes, we do, don't we?
Yes, your predecessors worked on that. Nicole, feel free to jump in. My understanding was that they discussed like code switching and things like that, meaning, there's a time and place to use informal language like in poetry or what have you. And but they wanted to particularly use academic English when talking about, grammar
Okay.
that may show up in a job or a resume, et cetera, et cetera.
So that would be inserted right after academic dishonesty. Can you give us a new column, Coach Hilliard? Academic language? Not a column, but a new heading. And would you care, Annie, to proffer some definition of academic English?
Sure, although I think I feel like this is one that might end up being a group effort. Might be
Sure,
debatable.
but we got to have a starting point, okay? Nobody gets it right all the way from the beginning.
I think we use both academic language and academic English. Do we need to define both, or is there some way to indicate that we kind of use these two words interchangeably?
I would put language in parentheses, academic English, and then parentheses language.
Do we have anywhere? Is there anywhere else in the glossary we've run it? There's got to be somewhere else in the
No,
glossary.
there, in the rest of the glossary, it's used alongside a slash, like counter / opposing claim.
Okay, so it would just be academic English / language.
Mm-hmm. And Annie, are you still crafting a definition?
Working on some research. So far, I'm not finding like a Webster's definition type thing yet.
How did we use it in the standards?
A lot. We
What did we mean by it then?
I think we meant essentially I think we meant language that adheres strictly to the rules of conventional grammar and is appropriate for an academic setting.
Okay. I like that definition. How about let's use that as a starting point? Can you put that down there?
I can. I'm a little reluctant because I think this might be an instance where a published definition might be best because that's not. I mean, that is a term, and I don't want to. I'm a little anxious about defining what academic English is for the entire state of Tennessee for 8 years, just because I had a spare thought at 7:08 in the evening.
Right, but by the same token, there's nuances in the glossary, and they're based upon our intent in the standards, what we were talking about. A manufactured or a Roger Thesaurus definition would not be able to capture that. So, as a starting point, I'd like to put down what you just said. I think it's a good point.
For some reason, my internet browser has stopped working. This is working, but so my efforts of looking up an official definition are not going well.
So I have something I just researched. It's academic English. It says it's a formal language style used in educational settings, especially in higher education and communication. It includes vocabulary, grammar, and conventions needed to read, write, speak, and understand complex ideas written in academic context. That's what it stated when I looked it up on in research. So
I mean, I'm certainly not Merriam-Webster, but my attempt was just something along the lines of language that adheres to conventional rules of usage and that is appropriate for an academic setting.
You said exactly what she said in a heck of a lot less words.
Right.
I like what you've written there, personally.
Everything I stated is the same as it's more simplified in what Hilliard just mentioned. So, yeah.
Are we good with Coach's definition here? And I'm not going to tell anybody, Coach Hilliard, that you wrote this.
Well, this is a matter of public record, so everyone can see it in process.
But everybody had a chance to look at it, and I think from what I'm hearing, we all agree that it states exactly what our intentions were when we established the standards.
Okay, I'm fine with that then.
Everybody good? Okay, active voice. Do we include examples in any of our stuff? Like they did here?
No, I haven't seen it with examples, just basically the definition.
Is the example absolutely necessary in understanding what the definition says?
I don't think so.
No,
Okay.
I wouldn't think so.
Then let's
I also-
eliminate.
Yeah, I really don't like the contrast with passive voice. The essay was written by the student portion.
I don't either.
I mean, we're going to have a definition of passive voice. If they need to know what passive voice is, then they can.
All right, so let's eliminate the example, and we're good with active voice. Accuracy. Accuracy, we talked about
was
it,
great.
but
That is,
we talked about accuracy in a lot of different ways, more than reading fluency, did we not?
Really quickly to go back to active voice. Do we need to say active voice and then in active voice the subject performs the action expressed by the verb? Like,
No, I was kind of asking about that.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Simply stated. Thank you.
Yeah, we also use period sometimes for, are y'all reading it as like academic conversation allow students, and that's why there's a period at the end so that it's a complete sentence? For example, like this would be a fragment, right? But if we're reading this all together, this is the complete sentence.
Going back to that, sorry, I just now noticed it. That one also feels like a here's the benefit of academic conversation rather than a definition of it. Am I reading that incorrectly?
You are correct.
In academic conversations in our standards?
Yes.
Yes.
Can we just say builds ideas through conversation and language? Oh, that's really not a definition. That's how it's used, isn't it? Let me ask Copilot.
Is there anything about there in the conversation does it have to do with collaboration at all? Or was our intention to talk about collaboration?
Okay, here's what it says. Purposeful dialogue focused on learning and deepening understanding of academic content.
Ooh, that's beautiful.
Casual chats, academic conversations, blah, blah, blah. And it has key features.
I like the first sentence. excuse me for jumping on top of you, but I like the first sentence that you had there. That's wonderful.
I'll drag it over.
Ms. Summers, am I correct in thinking that we should, Ms. Baird, is this something you're citing from another source?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm looking it up on Chat GPT or
Oh.
whatever. It's like the dictionary.
What does citing that look like?
So I'm glad you asked, Mr. Hilliard. Generative AI is Copilot is allowed. Other form in state government and for state government contractors, which is what y'all are. So chat or Microsoft Copilot is allowed. Other forms of
I'm on
AI.
Copilot.
Okay, perfect. And then I would just ask, I guess that you, again, this is the new territory we're figuring out at the state level, but normally when I do stuff like that, I just say like, can you give me a definition and can you offer a citation or offer a source or something like that? Because I don't know how, again, this is an emerging field, so I'm open to thoughts. And Patty, you might be at the forefront of this. You would still want to cite another source versus, or would you cite Microsoft Copilot?
You would cite Copilot. I would have a feeling if you looked at Webster's, you'd get a similar description.
Right.
I feel like it might not look super professional to have like a AI definition personally. I do sometimes they seem a little bit more, I guess, accurate than some of the other versions. Like when I was looking up academic English, the like AI version seemed better than anything else I was finding, but I just don't know how professional it looks.
Well, it doesn't mean you can't edit it to make it professional as you so choose.
Yes. Were you going to copy that into there, Patty?
I was going to. You all can choose to edit at will. They also have multiple key features.
I think what you said is enough right there. And if we're required to put in a reference, how do you set that up? Do you put it in parentheses?
And some of these are cited by the Professional Education of Teachers, the Center for the Professional Education of Teachers. It only gets better from here, guys.
Mm. So that's where the original statement came from.
Among other things.
I'd hate to have to put citations in every one of these things if we gotta. And we're required by law to do that? I mean, or is it ethical?
So
Well, you could say a structured, purposeful, and take out dialogue that focuses on. I mean, you can change it any way you like you would do anything in writing. Or you could just hang it on the bottom of that whole litany of stuff there.
Well, I'd want to keep dialogue in there as a substitute for the word conversation because we don't want to repeat conversation in there. And I don't think there's any better way to state the academic conversation than what you just written there myself. The only question I have for Brianna is, they source the educators in here. Do we have to source both of them, or do we need to source any of it? Do we have to put in a citation for anyone? That would get ponderous in here.
I think though we're creating standards for the students of the state of Tennessee. So the very next definition is about academic dishonesty. So we need to model good ethics and good, appropriate, responsible use for our students, whatever the decision is.
Okay, so how are we going to cite?
I think it comes down to what do you want to use? Do you want to use a Webster's? Do you want to use, I mean, I think you should cite it, don't get me wrong. I think you just need to decide how you're going to do that.
You guys use MLA, or what do you use to cite? How do you cite at the end of the statement?
I believe it's APA down here. Hold on.
APA.
1 second.
What would
what-
it look like?
Oh, sorry, Vice Chair Hilliard, what did you say?
I believe it is APA, yes.
Yeah, it's APA. So, I don't know. Maybe this is trying to split the difference, but you could use Copilot and ask them for a citation. Ask them to make you an APA citation while you're there.
We need to verify the source that Copilot is citing, though.
Well, Patty already did. She told you where it came from.
I think Ms. Now
In
needs
part.
to the website.
We source the source.
Patty, what was the source they gave? The public educators?
Let me go back to it. They've also got 4 really good. I mean, and it's the same in Google. That's an AI overview, but they all give 4 items: purposeful exploration, building ideas, evidence-based, collaboration, meaning, dash making. Interestingly. So I think we need to decide what source we want to use if we use multiple ones.
Can you just give us the one that you used?
I'm going there. They have the key characteristics and then sources. Pre-AP College Board,
Oh, excuse me.
Taylor and Francis ebooks, references and collections, words and collections. I mean, there is a long litany of those.
Okay, how would APA give that?
Because it gave examples and talked about various things. So, I'm happy to pull a source. Just tell me which one you want to pull, because they all say basically exactly the same thing.
Dr. Now, in the interest of academic honesty, how would you cite this?
I can't plead the fifth, can I?
No way, not at this point.
Just now, we do have 7 minutes left. One thing I can do, I will say the state of Tennessee's sort of guidance on AI is pretty ever evolving. I'm happy to get some consultation and get back with you on sort of what they recommend and why, with the understanding that, we're figuring this out alongside y'all. We've only got about 7 more minutes. So Chair Kernigis, if it works well for you, we could talk scheduling.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. We're kind of at the point where we're trying to have fun with this. So, but we got work to do. So let's talk about meeting again. And Chair, or Co-Chair Hilliard, what do we have left to do?
We have the glossary, which seems like it's going to be a lengthy process from what we've done thus far. We need to look at the appendix and just offer recommendations. We're not drafting the entire appendix, but we're making recommendations for what we'd like to see or not see. We'll need to take a glance at the references, especially once we make decisions about what we're doing with the glossary as far as referencing.
Okay.
And then we'll need to do the parking garage. But to my knowledge, that is it.
Well, I think that's doable in one session for sure, perhaps less than a whole session. depends upon how we get stuck with words. So, we all have an opportunity to look over the entire glossary if we want to just do that for homework.
Yeah, I think that would be greatly beneficial to us if we came in with a plan for the glossary rather than just kind of doing it on the spot. I think if we perhaps had words that we knew we wanted to add, and then we had words that we thought should be deleted, and then we had, proposed definitions for some of these words, I think that would be greatly beneficial and would make the possibility of getting out of this in one more meeting feasible.
Okay.
Getting rid of all the ones that we don't need to worry about would be the first big step.
Right, and I know that you were doing that walkthrough, Brianna, if you can complete that walkthrough somehow and then indicate that with your red lining on here so that we don't double over, that would be good. And otherwise, as we're walking through, we could just use our recollection of our inclusion of those terms in the standards. So we may miss a few, but I think by and large we're going to be much better prepared, and it will go a lot faster. So we're talking about meeting on the 21st here virtually again at 3:30 p.m. And again, it takes as long as it does till we do as wonderful a job as we've done so far.
Do we have conflicts from the group? I believe we have the recurring conflict. Ms. Winters, you still have a conflict on Tuesdays, right?
I could get in at 4.
Okay.
I have a conflict that night
Okay.
until 6.
Until 6, okay.
Ms. Dockery, do you have a conflict on this coming Tuesday?
No, Tuesday's ideal for me because I have childcare.
I hear you. Okay. Any other conflicts on Tuesday?
I will have to leave early, probably around 6.
Well, that's perfect. You can double over with Lacey then.
Okay.
Yeah, so that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ms. Winters, 30 minutes, so we should be good.
Oh, sorry. Also, my hour commute, I'll probably be a little late. So I don't know if that's
Okay.
maybe I could join if that's okay. I could
Join
and we
by
need a quorum,
phone.
I could join by phone.
Yeah.
Because I could do that if
Yeah, just don't look at us. You watch the road.
Okay. I think we'll be good then. So hold on. If Brittany and Lacey are 1, or excuse me, if Miss Singletary and Miss Now are 1, Vice Chair Hilliard 2, Chair Kernagis 3, Miss Baird 4. I assume Dr. Stout has her reoccurring conflict, but she was able to get here, right? And then she had to leave.
Yes.
On Tuesdays, she's been able to join us initially, but then she has to leave for her class. I don't want to speak on her behalf, but that's what it's been thus far, I believe.
Okay. My brain is I've got about 3 brain cells that I'm counting with. So I think do we have a quorum with
Yes.
everybody passing through the night?
We got 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And,
That's all
and
good.
we'll go as long as we can. And if we don't have a conflict, we'll do it again.
will I need to join by phone for us to have a quorum?
I think so. That's what I was trying to get together. Okay.
Okay.
Chair 1, Vice Chair 2, Miss Singletary and Miss Now is 3, Miss Baird is 4, you and Miss Winters will be late. So then we have 4, but Dr. Stout would be there. So I think at the beginning we would only have 5. So it would be make a key alert for everyone who says they're going to be here. And then we'll be good going forward. Is that right?
If we have a couple people joining at 4, we could theoretically just move the start time to 4 if that's going to. I mean, we would only be losing 30 minutes, and if that's going to make the quorum more comfortable, I'm fine with starting at 3:30. I'll be here regardless, but just, if that makes things easier.
3:30 is good for me.
Yeah, I just worry. I hope we can do the glossary speedily. I wonder if we need the 3:30. But I appreciate the idea. Yeah, I think we're good. Someone please correct my math if I'm off. Just know that if you cannot come if you said that you can come and you're one of those 5 and you can't, knowing ASAP would be really helpful so that we can go ahead and reschedule and not everybody shows up. You know what I mean? Okay. I will send out the things.
Well, thank you, Brianna, and thank you everybody else for your contributions today, for stepping forward, for standing up for what you believe is correct, because we're creating standards now to put our kids in the top 10%, not the top 50%, the top 10% in the country. So let's shoot for the moon. Keep up the good work. And now I declare this session over, and we'll see you again next week. Don't forget your homework. Thank you.
Bye all.